Okay, so this is what we're pretty much going to do. We're going to build some Warhammer 40k minis, as you can clearly state with the Indomina, you call it? Indominus, and we have the Space Wolves versus Orcs. We have another friend here. He's going. He's playing a game right now. He'll be probably with us later. Also, we have glue, snips, our phones. We're going to listen to background noise. We're going to listen to our YouTube channels. I'll put a list in them after we're done. We're going to send this to a couple friends real quick. Also, we have the best thing from the God Emperor himself. Let me grab it real quick. Coca-Cola. And you cannot get mad about that because that's hilarious.
All hell the sea.
All hell the God Emperor himself. But
no. All hell the man emperor mankind.
Okay, I don't know what that is. But anyway.
Text speech. Gotta love it.
Okay, got it right there. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this started real quick. So let's go ahead and just we go ahead and send this to a couple people. While he's going to go ahead, like my friend over here is going to go ahead and tear the boxes open. Okay, I said tear them open, not dissect them like a mad beast, dude.
What's the difference?
Spelling. Okay.
You should let our guests know how long you had these things.
Yeah, I had them when they came out. This stream is on October 6, 2020. I had this since it came out.
And he had a lot of people oozing these from him for ages.
And also I have issues with just being lazy most of the time.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like he told me, we're only doing the humans.
Yeah, we're only doing Space Marines on today. We're trying to do the Orcs and Necrons later. He's going to just ool at him real quick.
Alright, there's Marine. Whoa.
What's that?
Okay, we're not building this guy, but look how massive that base is for Gazgul. Okay. Yeah. This is Gazgul.
Dang. Okay, cool. We're going to keep that back in here. We'll go ahead and continue the information. We're trying to get some friends in here. We're trying to have an intelligent conversation. If we have those anymore. I don't know. Do we have those anymore? Play the fifth? Gotcha. Why are you not putting background noise on? Do you hate me that much?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Hold on. We watch where
It's too cold outside with shadowy hints of
oh, hell, Joe Cat.
After Joe Cat, we will go to
whatever else we feel like. We'll put a list of who we're watching on here so you guys can support them.
Yep, we're going to be watching a lot of funny guys. Lots of deal with RPGs. Let me turn that down so they can hear us.
Yeah.
Alright, here's the Marines in this box.
I don't know what the warning is, but anyway. Crack that real quick.
Yes, there will be cussing, kids.
Yeah, there will be cussing, so.
It's must because who we're listening to.
Yeah.
Do you like hitting things? What am I saying? Of course you do. Everybody does. I most certainly do all the time, like now. And hitting things is the best thing about D&D.
I don't know what that warning means. Well, if it gives you problems, I'm sorry guys. There's a warning here. I don't know what it means. It says something about the current resolution.
Oh.
Please click the video. No, it's pretty much just telling me what I have it on, so I might have mixed it up. I don't know. But we're going to find out here in a second.
If anyone thinks the camera looks blurry, let us know.
It's not blurry, it's just saying that I have the resolution, pretty much what the software is saying.
Okay.
Whatever. Alright, we'll fix it later. Right now we just want to get this screwing around.
Okay, now I gotta dig through the big box. Because this is literally a box.
A box is a box.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, and now we're going to just... Okay, cool. What's that?
Let's... Marine. Necron.
Just putting it? Okay. So this is all from this?
Yep.
Okay.
There's no... This is gonna be the bigger box of that.
Yeah.
I don't care that the things I'm using for analogies aren't real. Intelligence is a dumb stat anyway. That's why mine is the number that comes after 3. And now
that's the best argument you will ever hear someone.
Yep.
What else
Instruction manual.
Okay, you got one cracked already. We don't need this. Come on. Dang.
Rule book.
Okay, the actual rule book.
Yep, there's a rule book. Those are there for Necrons.
What is this?
That is for the Necron models.
Okay.
I've built this box before.
I know you built this box before. Okay.
I didn't see instructions for the holes in this one though. Huh.
Let me check. It's probably me something. No matter what.
Probably is.
Yeah, it looks like I see it.
Underneath a protection wall. Goddamn great.
Okay. What do you want to try and do? The endowments or the space movies?
Doesn't matter, man.
Okay, well, you might want to crack it open first of all. Yeah, anyone want to say hi? Just go ahead and just go over there and say hi to our stupidity. By the way, I don't know how long this is going to last, so please bear with us. What do we got here? Okay, so this is the building thing? Yeah. What do you want to do with it? Since you already built Germany, you want to do the Wolfies or you want to do a German again?
I can do the Wolfies.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let me go on this room.
Man.
Yeah, that's like the best joke ever.
Everybody knows you have to follow that contract or else Matt Mercer will sneak into your house and throw foam noodles at you from the corner of your living room.
My question is, does he really does that?
No clue, never had that happen to me.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of curious now, like, who he actually brings to your house?
And I'm going to share this in one of our Facebook groups.
Yeah. You alright? What's we got here? Like this. While my brain are like this.
So you know how to play Bard, you're welcome. Now this may sound rather odd, but sometimes the best in the squad is the one with the cross who can smite like a boss by harnessing the bitch slap of God. With a mace that even ogres will flee, you'll cast and crush things with glee. Some think they're not strong and those people are wrong. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. The support is someone everyone wants on their team, but nobody wants to be. Lucky for you, the cleric is like a support.
And plus, in the Gundam group.
After being too fed up with being told to heal the barbarian who ran into a 1v20.
So what they do to these models make more, I guess, unnecessary?
Oh, these kind of models I was trying to say are snack kids when...
I don't think that's possible.
No, they don't have no friction to actually apply to them and pull them down.
Oh, they're just trying to do about the Gundam stuff and failed. Gotcha.
It's been weird. Since you brought up Gundam, I can't wait to try see the thing with Harlan stuff.
Yeah.
Especially you redid Spawn, finally.
Approximately 20 black dragons at one cleric alone to keep it balanced. Spells like Flash Gordon, Buddy Cop Weapon, and Does My Hand Smell Bad to You are so stupidly strong at such a low level it's
If our background noise is too loud, let us know.
Yeah.
Designated healer. Anyone who does has either never played the class or considered the sword and shield a viable weapon in Monster Hunter.
Go on.
Unlike most other classes, you pick your archetype
let's
first
pick one
level,
too.
and you have oodles, canoodles, and toaster strudels to choose from. To summarize, you have heel bitch, nerd, sunburn, and my axe, nobody dies, nobody cares, and a couple of more that I'm too lazy to mention. Seriously, with how versatile and independently strong you can build a cleric, you can make up an entire party full of purely priests, call it the Amen, and bust down Tiamat's door demanding her lunch money. And she would just build her own toilet to give herself swirlies so she wouldn't have to endure the kind of bullying you're about to give her. Channel Divinity gives you special limited use effects depending on your...
And we're trying to bring this stuff up to the camera once we get it built.
Make a zombie run away from you like it's regained its ability to smell and realizes you've been sleeping with your Jesus blanket that you haven't washed in months. Or as useful as Guiding Strike, where you can choose to add 10 billion points to your attack roll so you'll be able to swat one fly with another fly's deuce being whipped around on a string like a yo-yo strung around your pinky toe while blindfolded. The only downside is that you get a pitiful amount of uses, like a gym 2 weeks after New Year's. And finally, the most notable trait of the cleric is Divine Intervention, where if you are a good boy or girl all year praying happy thoughts and burning that dank holy kush, if you wish upon a star, the clouds in the heavens will part and the literal gods will stop playing their game of Jenga to fix whatever dumb problems you and your party have gotten into, and then avoid you for 7 days debating whether or not to write you a holy restraining order after seeing you pissed your pants fangirling over your religious senpai noticing you. And now you know how to play cleric. Amen.
I love that joke. I love how you play, you know how to play cleric. Amen. Okay, well, I don't know if that answers all the questions, but
I
okay.
don't understand tree huggers. What is the environment
The best
for
one.
us? It's not like it provides oxygen, resources for tourism, tools, housing, clothes, food, and technology or anything important like that. And it's definitely not like it's home to various species of plants and animals required to keep the ecosystem alive to continue to feed mankind's insatiable appetite to destroy, consume, and rebuild in his own image, ultimately resulting in the annihilation of the very world that brought him into existence. Nah, fuck all that. The environment clearly exists for us to skin innocent animals that are minding their own business so we can wear them as high fashion. I mean, just look at bears. All they do is steal my chicks and shit in my backyard. Well, guess what, Yogi? It's payback time. And what better way to give it than undercover as one of their own? They'll never see it coming. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. The druid is what happens when a ranger decides to fully commit to being a furry/hippie instead of just half-assing it because they're only trying to impress that sexy dryad they met in the forest that one time. They're primarily a casting class, but unlike clerics with their holy senpai, warlocks with their sugar daddies, bards with their awesomeness, or sorcerers with their rich magical parents' inheritance, druid's magic comes from Mother Nature. From first-hand experience, I can tell you now she's an absolute bitch. Shut up, bitch.
That's how I talk to people.
Dream and transform into an animal, but not just any old lady or neon-colored.
That's true with you, though.
Yeah.
Not the rainbow dog with an indie band t-shirt over there. No, I mean cool animals like my original character, Grapple Gene, the nocturnal giant toad. Don't steal! Your archetype will be based around whether you want to be part of the forces of nature or if you want it to work for you. To list them off, land for different flavors of spells, moon for when you want to take your persona to the next level, dreams for if you secretly want to play a cleric, shepherd for if you want to be king of the wigglers, spores for if you want to reenact The Last of Us, and twilight for that sweet, sweet
Just realized
all the classes your features approve.
I was giving him the wrong head, but I don't care.
You just get one what now?
I was giving Captain the wrong head. But no one cares.
How do you give him?
The one from like Second Command. Who cares? It's the same thing.
Oh, they came from his runner? No, they just give him really 3 heads.
Yeah.
Suddenly spiky thorns sprout out around you, making movement painful.
I give it to I got the Second Command time and put it on.
Out of its eyeballs and turning the tree branches around you into black mambas. Design an encounter for that, Dungeon Master, and now you know how to play Druid. You're welcome.
I can, sadly. Until a certain cleric here punches it to death.
Oh my god. Hit some stuff, hit some more. I watch it too much.
Like that. And that's
I don't know if that's a sword.
Human fighters pop out of the woodwork like rabbits on Viagra because people are incapable of choosing something unique even when they're given options like playing as a kobold paladin who prays to asteroids just before they crush an unfortunate man's cabbage cart. Just look at me, for example, artistic phenomenon and originator of the satirical talk fast genre of videos. What do you mean I'm not the first one to come up with the idea? I don't need these lies coming out of you. Everything I make is completely original and everybody knows it. Come on, Master Chief, let's get the fuck out of here. Fighters are the purest essence of the combat side of D&D, all about hitting things hard and fast, getting into the thick of the fight, and hey, you get out of here, we're not talking about you. You're all focused around rolling more dice than a Limp Bizkit song, as well as being straight up easy baby mode because you get to start using any weapon you want, heavy armor, some ranged options, a free cheesecake, and a complimentary belly rub just for picking a class. Seriously, everything about it is geared towards being so noob friendly, even a Monster Hunter longsword player will be laughing at you. If you feel so inclined during combat, you can heal yourself, attack twice, and take a second action to attack twice again, all in the same turn. And that's at 5th level. Not to mention you getting more ability score increases than any other class means that if you go a turn without hitting at least something, then you must have made some kind of D&D sin that angered Gary Gygax, like hitting weighted dice or putting milk in before you
Heresy.
you pick how you want to be hitting. Being a magic bitch,
Well, good thing is that the camera ain't part of the table.
Sensei mode, and just decide you want advantage for every attack this turn, so you're going to absolutely destroy a bitch. But odds are, knowing most fighters out there, champion is the best bet because it's basic. Yo, we heard you like fighter, so we put more fighter in your fighter. Just be sure to make your character a rough and grizzle-faced middle-aged straight white man with a two-handed sword and a mysterious and/or.
You guys said straight right now. I'm gonna make me a gay pal or a gay fighter next time.
And now you know how to play
It is the best one to make.
Just to really fill your players like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, there's another reason.
Why? Now because I don't think I want to know now. Here comes the fighter man. I got a feeling this is a Necron.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Because it's Carver's base.
Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. is like a science that can be used for either side of the moral spectrum. It can be used for evil, like punctuating arguments, expressing a salty loss, and beating up nerds, or it can be used for good, like self-defense, artistic expression, and beating up nerds. And monks are those who have trained heavily in the nerd beating up science of mixed martial arts, foregoing any sort of traditional filthy weapon proficiencies, and instead opting for wanting to punch, bam, boom, slam, kick, punch stuff. You start with no armor because, like a barbarian, you have the ability to deflect and dodge attacks with the power of your unconstrained birthday suit. But unlike barbarian, you don't have to rely on the pathetic material world to explodify goblins. You have your knuckles. Martial arts training means you can serve up extra punchables for the bad guys as a bonus action, so no matter how you're doing, as Mama said, you'll be dishing out more pain-induced fistings than two lesbians who consider watching porn as a reasonable substitute for sex.
I'm the one who watches this as a lesbian.
Is a slippery piece of work who's really good at avoiding any oncoming fistings, like a millennial trying to get their life together, avoid self-care by catching them if they're a fist projectile or dodging out of the way if it's an area of fists. As you grow stronger, you can translate a fist if it's punching in a different language and avoid any infections if the fister forgot to take a shower that night. As a monk, your shtick is the key feature, but since I can't come up with any way to make this section much funnier, and also because key translates to poop in Thai, that's how I'm going to refer to it from now on. You gain more and more poop as you level up, and you can spend your poopy points on various skills to do all sorts of things, like stun people, reroll saves, mask yourself and turn invisible, and any other number of crazy things based on which anime you want to imitate. I would recommend Kensei so you could use the dual-wield chainsaw shotgun laser earrings if it weren't for the fact that every other archetype was just cooler in every way, wearing fancy outfits and taking the time to actually learn how to fist properly. Oh man, what a tough decision. Do I want to use a pokey stick or do I want to fire Hadoukens and Kamehameha blast? What an enticing decision. I'm really gonna have to think about. Don't stop, we're in luck now! And now you know how to play monk. You're welcome. Boy, I love the smell of justice in the morning. There's nothing more satisfying than knowing the good name of Sword and Shield has traveled so far and wide that not even the Pokemon games are free from their incredible, awesome influence. And it's about time, too. You think I created this series to entertain and inform ignorant whelps of great hobbies their miserable lives are missing out on? Fuck no. It was to enforce the mighty name of the one true weapon pairing that triumphs all others. And if anyone were to step out of line, I'd bring down the wrath of which tear-ass children tell their parents to scare them before bedtime, and then collect the aftermath of the pants they all shit because it makes for great fertilizer. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. Tank? Do you want to fight? Do you want a class that'll instill fright, take up some plate, and keep the goblins inside? Because you want to make sure they eat this paladin.
Mine!
The paladin is the first on a short list of hybrid-style classes, stealing a mix of features from both the fighter and the cleric, meaning it's better at physically painting the walls with blood than a cleric, but more gooder at grammar and spelling than a fighter. But it's also one of the few classes where role-playing becomes somewhat important. What? Role-playing in my role-playing game? They really should have put some kind of warning label somewhere. I'm not submitting to this shit. If I wanted to follow some sort of...
Putting places sometimes on like, which one of y'all guys like you long list or short list?
If you want me to play your game of ethics, you can kiss my shiny plate mail. Alright, fine, just follow the code and don't do anything stupid that'll cause you to lose your paladin privileges, like a spoiled rich kid who's upset that he doesn't get a fourth Maserati to crash. Like the other all-up-in-your-grill style physical fighting classes, you gain proficiency with every goddamn combat-oriented item in the universe. And yes, that does technically mean that you can optimally play a paladin without a shield and not have to worry about being a less effective contribution to your party, but if you do that, I'm telling you now that you're wrong, I hate you, and you're a big, smelly doo-doo head. As a resident big fuck-off bringer of divine justice, your job is to harness the power of holiness or whatever other wacky power, depending on what oath you pick, to have
I'm gonna be at your asshole now.
While they bounce off of your full frontal crusade like a turd in the wind. That's true for just about every combat-focused class.
There's one or two bases. I'm putting them both on the same thing.
Aforementioned fighter-cleric combo skill set. You get multiple attacks, channel divinity, a free vaccination, casting abilities, more auras than that one silly anime that nobody likes, which means you'll be so jacked that your mere presence will muscleify any nearby allies so that they look like a typical character from said silly anime that nobody likes. And lay on hands, a pool of health you can use to heal yourself or give a single hit point to your ally because that's all they deserve for not letting the rogue check the obviously booby-trapped room first. But we all know the real reason anyone picks paladin, and that's to never cast any actual spells, but instead use your spell slots to imbue your weapon with various flavors of smite. Because what good is striking down the heretics and heathens of the realm if it's not in the elemental attacking equivalent of your god sports team colors? You smite with fire, laser pointers, brain freezes, sick bassy drums, and cheese! Cheese for everyone!
What kind of base do I need this one?
It tells actually what base he uses.
Okay, cool. So I need peaceful. A 40, so I'm looking for. Okay.
Just play a fighter with a bow, it's way better. Alright, fine, I'll talk about the class. Ranger is the other of the bisexual style of classes, where it likes fighter, but it also likes food, and flips between the two depending on which one looks cuter.
Is that a 40?
Cute things from Rogue because it's so indecisive, and despite the name
That looks about right.
Actually restricted to use any
There's a
sort
scale
of
right there.
weapon in order to be effective. As far as
Yeah, they put a scale in the box.
Finally!
fighter set of features, fighting style, all weapons, extra attack, spell casting, D10, hit die, haymaker.
Yeah, it's 40.
Rogues, it steals the ability to channel your inner chameleon and blend into the environment. Except instead of hiding in the shadows and watching where you step, it's more like putting on makeup, so you need to take some time, have a good look in the mirror, maybe look up some tutorials while you're at it, then start over when you realize you were using the wrong shade of foundation. From Druid, it steals some of that being one with nature flavor it's got going on, and a whole lot of spells, but not without a few exclusive spells of its own, like having a target explode a bunch of thorns when hit with a ranged attack, plant arrows in the ground and turn them into proximity-based fireworks, except the gunpowder is magic and the lights are bits of enemy brains, and single-handedly the objectively best ranger spell, Swift Quiver. Not for the unlimited ammo, that's dumb. Nobody keeps track of their arrows anyway, but because it turns your
I keep track of my arrows because I thought that's what you had to do.
Joseph, you said you don't need to use a ranged weapon to be effective as a ranger. Those all sound like ranged weapon exclusive spells. That may be true, however. Anyway, when it comes to actual unique ranger features, you can use the power of racism to decide what kind of creatures you're going to perform extra potent hate crimes on, and preferred terrain where you can...
I'm being elf this dude human.
Trotting around picking flowers or litter, depending on what it is, you can become a fantasy Bear Grylls, which is basically real-life Bear Grylls, except with a Cobalt crew filming you instead. And if you worry that that sounds too situational, and that if you picked a forest terrain and the entire campaign took place in the snowy mountains would mean the feature would be more useless than a football player who got tapped on the shoulder and started clutching their knees crying in the fetal position, don't worry, you're right, and it is. What isn't situational is just about everything else in the environment. You can sense what kids are trespassing on your lawn and then not have to worry about the things that might otherwise slow you down from catching them and giving them a good whack. When it comes to flavors, if you don't really trust us, you can totally use melee and still be useful class.
For the Emperor! Yeah, we did something.
You're literally a monster hunter, hitting with portals and pew, 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 pew. Alright, let's address the beholder in the room. The vanilla incarnation of the feature has a reputation of being less useful when compared to the other classes due to questionable abilities and how they function. That's not to say classes can't be useful or powerful. Okay, so this is pretty much the guest commander, dude. Sometimes underpowered features to leave something to be desired. However, there's nothing wrong about
I don't know if you guys can see that, but I give him a little extra on height.
But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not about how many numbers you can do to the bad guys, but whether or not you can shoot spikes out of the ground while firing bolts.
I have a picture of everything we built on my pictures of everything I built on my blogs. Go check that out after this video.
Ever since I was a child, I had to grow up on the streets, wrestling alley bears.
This is what Batman should have been like in
for my own freedom. It was in those streets that I knew I couldn't trust anyone but myself. The only thing for sure was that I had to find the monsters who put me there, to exact my revenge, and finally put my restless hunger for blood at ease. So is that why you're standing in the corner of a tower?
Oh, hell, Puffin.
That's something deeply mysterious.
Puffin's a demigod compared to Joe Cat. And Puffin, if you watch this, I love you, dude.
All the pain and suffering
Yes.
Alright then, I'll see you later. Wait, no, you were supposed to be deeply interested and ask me more about my backstory. You know what? I'm tired of being another cog in the machine of an adventuring party. I'm going off on my own, following my own creed and doing what needs to be done. That's right, I'm going rogue. Do you get it? Rogues are the sneaky, savvy, skilly, willy utility monkeys of the Forgotten Realms, and the best pick if you're a backseat gamer since it lets you interrupt someone trying their best because they weren't doing it right. However, if you want to Mary Sue it up even more than you already are, you also get expertise so that you can upgrade those proficiencies to anime protagonist levels of ridiculous. Now I know what you're thinking, this sounds a lot like Bard, and while that's partly true, the difference is rogues aren't automatically assumed to be the comic relief. Instead, they're deep, dark, and brooding, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, holidays excluded because who could be grumpy on Christmas?
I can try.
Their unique combat feature, the sneak attack. Because the names in D&D are always inaccurate, you don't actually have to be low to the ground and covered in shit to deal with sneak attack bonus damage, but rather anytime the enemy's just not feeling up to it today and just wants to get it over with. This means that the enemy's being flanked, or if they're
he's in their head.
They just brag about how high their IQ is, you know, things that would make them really easy to stab. You are, incidentally, not very easy to stab since you have a whopping 4 goddamn features dedicated to make you more difficult to pin down than figuring out if that teasing banter you had with your friend actually hurt their feelings or not. You can dodge when it's your turn, dodge when it's not your turn, dodge a giant ball of fire, and even dodge having to pay the bill on a first date. One especially unique trait of the rogue is their exclusive language, thieves can't. Thieves can't what? I don't have the slightest clue, because it allows you to say a whole bunch of jargon that somehow translates into a completely different sentence. Timmy's having tea with the local blacksmith actually means let's go to the temple and steal some of the cleric's donations. Speaking of stealing, the thief archetype means you're especially fast at doing thiefy things, things like picking locks, chugging potions, and hardcore parkour. Assassin makes your stats extra stabby, and you can stab while disguising yourself as a child you saw who you can point to later and say they did it. Arcane Trickster basically turns you into a bard, except less talented or attractive, and allows you to hocus pocus somebody's wallet from 3 miles away.
I wish I had that, Billy.
Straight up Sherlock Holmes, complete with the assholery and catchy theme music. Swashbuckler won't stop bugging people to 1v1 them. And Scout, which is yet another better alternative to Ranger. Your job is to make sure everybody knows how much better you are at doing everything. Because when the going gets tough, you know the party's going to turn to you one day and ask you to please pick the lock in the door to the king's castle because the bard accidentally kicked the guard in the genitals trying to seduce you. And you gladly show them all the skills you've learned from growing up in such a harsh and unforgiving environment that was once your home, forcing you to learn questionable needs and morally ambivalent beliefs in order to survive. Just try not to cut yourself on that edge while you're at it. And now you know how to play rogue.
I don't know if I should be insulted about the edge part. I'm trying to figure out what that was.
Magic is dumb and stupid and makes no sense, and my brain hurts the more I try to figure out how it works. Except when bards use it, because bards are cool and mages are lame with their colorful flowy robes and giant obnoxiously fashionable hats. No, I'm not jealous. Shut up. At the very least, though, most of them work hard for their magical abilities. Some of them cultivating it through skill and experience, others answering to a higher power, some having a codependent relationship with the arcane, and some lucky enough to have their parents bang a mystical creature and receive a small genetic loan of 1,000,000 mana. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Streaming?
Get your stupid hats ready. It's time for the casters, where your weapons suck, your armors suck, and your martial skills are closer to that of the average D&D player. Instead, you'll be relying on the mystical, magnificent mass of magics, except in this case, not really relying on it, more like bullying it into doing what you want. Sorcerers are those who
Yes, Dr. Eva, the Chihuahua.
Yeah, because the cat died last week.
Maybe that's why your hit die is the one used for monopoly games. That's right, a pathetic D6, which likely means the
He
DM will
sounds like he's insulting the dog. Peter's gonna be on the door in like 5 seconds.
magic feature means you can enhance the spells you cast by paying off the essence of arcane with the inheritance money you got from your magical parents, and allows you to influence your spells to take on a variety of effects to your liking. Its effects include, but are not limited to, biased AoEs, angry AoEs, spells that gotta go fast, saying, "Oh, I totally got you. I hit your shirt."
That's most D&D players right there.
Spell warranty, double penetration, or even cast with the sound of your armpit parts if you don't feel like talking that day.
That's the worst part. I know if she's willing to go out there to do
Which has got to be the two most absolutely
Because she's a
together
chihuahua?
in a single phrase. It's also
Oh, no,
really
she's
effective
not
save
chihuahua
word because it allows your magical
No,
media
everything's
to
going
stop
back
so your
up.
spell slots can catch their breath.
She's like, who do I want to be? Who do I want to drive out more?
Casty blasty, watch where the lightning ink gets nasty. Darkness, darkness, darkness.
He just walked away from that comment.
The wheel of wild magic, where you and whatever other lucky souls nearby get to experience the high-octane thrills of
It is safe.
Think your pathetic magic missile just won't cut it? Don't worry, with the right kind of luck, it could suddenly open up a one-way portal to the fireplace.
What's the fire flames like? What's
Yeah,
that?
I was actually going to read this joke on the screen. What?
That's your fault. That's your fault.
No way, you're not going to do that.
You live with this guy and you want to test fate like that. Okay, are we sure you passed school at this point? But think about this. Did you
All I know
pass?
is if he rips any page out of there, that information will be lost.
Well, don't worry, he ain't gonna rip it. He probably gonna rip his asshole in a second.
I know you won't agree with the story. Just like your viewers probably won't agree with the story since they're...
They're probably gonna look at it like, why are they reading a story? I'm like, because we're bored. Get off it.
Fair enough. I'm not going to write that.
Okay, cool. Whatever. It's your choice, dude. I don't tell you what the fuck to do.
You're going to be gone. Close the door.
Because we don't need the dog comes driving him in his leg.
You want to hear it after the stream?
Yeah, we can hear it after the stream. Or he makes the grand finale of how sad our lives is.
Yeah. No, because he's... Oh, last night he was going, what? Someone steals the idea, blah, blah, blah. I'm like... It was literally making 100 excuses. Oh, why not to write them a fucking story?
Let's be honest. You can't be bad at the time that South Park wrote a story.
Ugh.
Hey, we're gonna know that. That was the greatest goddamn story ever. It made everyone throw up. It was so sick, it was good.
But on the bright side, we have dental. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. So you want to use magic, but only as much as you want to hug that one family member you keep seeing at reunions, but aren't quite sure how you're related. Then you may want to be a warlock. Fake gamers have forgotten
something.
How warlocks differ from the other casters is that the amount of times you can
I never build these guys before.
spell slots is absolute shit. Instead of having a set number of spells for each level of spell slot, you get a maximum of 4 spell slots for all your spells up to 5th level, and that's it. And a few other ones, but nobody cares about those. The flip side is that the spells you cast are always at their max level, and instead of having to take a long rest to get those slots back, all you need is an hour to have a wank, have a biscuit, and you're back on your feet. But you you know what? Fuck real spells. You may think you're a caster, but really picking this class is purely an excuse to do nothing but cast everyone's favorite cantrip, Eldritch. Cast it at weddings, funerals, beach parties. Or you can just cast it randomly because the party's taking 5 hours to buy a single dagger from the shopkeeper and you're bored.
That's not what I'll do.
Aside from casting nothing but Eldritch all day, the main draw of the Warlocks is the fact that it's the greatest game of dress-up dolls of all time. Eldritch invocations allow you to custom tailor your Warlock so that it suits you better than my form-fit, Kieran assless chaps. You can talk to animals without needing to cast a spell, go straight up invisible whenever you want, but most importantly, there are invocations that allow you to customize your Eldritch so that whenever you shoot your gobbledygook at whatever poor sap that looked at you funny, you can pull them forward and do your best Scorpion impression, snipe them from 2 blocks away, or make the beam of arcane destruction smell like strawberries if you like. But it's not all fun in Eldritch because remember, you signed a pact with a
Okay, this will be the kit from that one group you made me play as a test run.
Oh.
You know the one that had the Helix guy?
Yeah.
And he's just standing there now, concerned.
Actually, no, I came actually in here for a specific reason.
It's
Full of
true.
hamburger for dinner. Do you want to try to cook that, or do you just want to go and get some burgers?
After the stream?
Yeah.
Burgers sound good.
Burger. Burger.
I knew you wouldn't read that though. I knew it.
You keep testing fate, dude. Do whatever you gotta do.
Oh no, he agreed off the stream.
Huh? Off the stream?
Yeah. That's when you do some guys control your ass to extinction.
By the way, Clay's probably watching this since he has it on watch.
Clay's online?
No, we think maybe.
It says I had, so far I said I had 2 people come by, so.
Well, you answered fireball for every question.
That's odd.
What?
No, the fact that the
answer for everything. Maybe try some different spells.
there's no Helix Adept.
What's the other good though?
Remember that thing that you had your new kiosk guys with?
Yeah.
These are supposed to be the mass-produced models for them.
Well, it's probably set to a basic thing, so.
No, like I guess Sergeant Bill because he has a special apothecary type item.
And one of these days, you're gonna find yourself in an encounter where fireball isn't there. Where'd he go?
Woohoo!
What the fuck? Welcome to a crap guy.
Yeah.
The moment you realize the screw. What was that?
That's maybe school.
The frail old man with a stick that shoots magic missiles at a few goblins and then has to go door to door telling his neighbors he's a registered hex offender. The wizard is the most powerful class.
Okay, alright. I'll build a base unit just to get a little say a Helix guy.
That's a big guy right there?
This guy?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It takes another 40 okay.
Dates at Chad Firebolt's party in the Golden Mansion is Chromatic Dragon Dad Bottom. If you're looking for the silver lining, the wizard is definitely the heaviest case of be careful who you call ugly in magic school. The wizard's spell list is thicker than the Storm King's thunder thighs. You gain spell slots like a shower drain gets hair, and during a short rest you can even choose a small amount of spell slots to recover depending on your level. Best of all, at higher levels you even get the ability to cast your favorite low-level spells as many times as you like. But who are we kidding? You're likely going to be dead before you reach that high, either killed by your own fireballs or killed by all your pissed-off allies who were caught in your own fireballs. Hold your horses there, Mr. I actually believe wizard memes are as funny in the game as they are on social media. All your spells are tied to your spell book because wizards have short-term memory loss, and unless it's a cantrip, you can only cast a spell if you have a 3-step tutorial with pictures to color. But the work doesn't just stop there. The stronger spells at higher levels are going to need expensive magical components to cast them if you don't want to embarrass yourself with arcanal dysfunction, and suddenly your finger of death feels more like a finger of mild discomfort. People say wizards are the utility casters because of the massive amount of spells at their disposal, many of which are very different range of situations. I'm here
The second command is done.
People are stupid. Use fireball and only fireball. Nothing but fireball. Just fireball. Just fireball.
Just fireball.
Because they are the nerds of D&D, wizards have an unhealthy amount of knowledge of all of the different schools of magic. So instead of having their archetypes based around a certain theme, they get one for each of the aforementioned schools of magic, which is too damn many to go over, and frankly, I don't have the time or gummy bears to last a whole lecture. Instead, I'm going to quickly summarize each school of magic.
Next is a G's.
And I'm going to do it all
in song. I'm not gonna sing, screw y'all.
Calibration.
More magic like hey, defense, probably the only best part of those. Casting. Okay. Calm down. This is a song.
A wise man once said magic is dumb and stupid and makes no sense. And I trust that man. He wields a sword and shield. So why use magic when you can use big brain energy and the power of science? I know how much nerds love science, so much that they won't shut up about it and one day start making weird advances towards their Texas Instrument. Listen, we all have our urges, but seriously, get a server room. Welcome to a crap guided.
I don't know how that's a good argument to use on someone, but okay.
It's about damn time we got another intelligence caster. The stat is about as commonly used for spellcasting as your bedroom is used for sexy times. The artificer is an inventor who decided traditional magical means by accomplished wizards and scholars are too mainstream and decided to come up with their own magic spells and items after reading 2 articles by angry moms from Baldur's Gate who discovered casting real spells can actually give you genital flumps. Checkmate, sorcerers. Instead of that, you can tinker with items to imbue them with special properties like turning it into a flashlight, turning it into a scented candle, or turning it into a phone that can only record and play vines. The best part is that once you give the item the properties, it lasts forever. So go have fun enjoying your 7 seconds of fame before the service shuts down and you become a struggling vlogger. And speaking of messing with the natural properties of items, as you level up, you gain infusions, which allow you to turn that sex toy you hide in the dresser from a basic vibrator to a vibrator. Infusions include, but are not limited to, boring stat increase, Thor's hammer, item dupe glitch, and go gadget, blink a boom. This is all due to your massive IQ rating of 7 billion, which is so high you can add your intelligence modifier to any of you or your ally party members' dice rolls and become the ultimate backseat gamer telling them about the bad guy's weak spots because there's no way their simple minds could have figured it out on their own. And if that doesn't work out, you can use one of the 50 magical items you've made yourself and refuse to part with like someone on an episode of Hoarders, or pull a fast one and throw the magical vibrator that you secretly stored a charge of fireball in. Being the new class that it is, the Artificer only has 3 subclasses so far, and no, I'm not going to cover the new ones that come out. Stop asking, I just want to go on vacation with my sword and shield on. Right. The Alchemist is like a drunk doctor, engages a few healing spells, can buff allies with the power of drinking and gambling, and can help you grow closer bonds with your pets. If you want a big fuck-off gun, the Artillerist can create an eldritch cannon that can either fire 3 different kinds of artillery, or just sit there contributing nothing while you marvel at your amazing craftsmanship, because keeping track of more than one thing on the board is hard, isn't that right, Dungeon Master? And lastly, the Battlesmith, where you decide to stop being a puss baby and join the fight with a mystery-solving robo-dog sidekick. Ranger. Overall, the Artificer loves making, finding, and using loads and loads of magical items, which means you'll probably forget about half of your inventions, because players can't be trusted to even remember the items they started with at the beginning of the campaign. Just make sure to keep them under good security so the rogue doesn't steal them all while you long rest, and suddenly you wake up to the sound of Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture. Now you know how to play one. You're welcome. So you picked your class, hold on to your ass, it's gonna get crass, cause race is harder than role you can play. Some Senki and Clay, Akishi One, a beast who gets real snarly, a regular dude named Charlie. If homebrew is free, a big talking tree. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. Arakakra, a big fucking bird. You got some wings so you can fly, and if non-weapon melee's preferred, they get sharp talents to bitch scratch a guy. Or maybe you're more of an Asimar, still avian if you lower the bar, angelic people with radiant energy or darkness if you flap your wings edgily. Bugbears aren't actually bears at all, more like beastly orcs and just as tall, but oddly sneaky and your arms are long, so you're really freaking good at playing basketball. But if going full beast is a little too far, you could always do half and decide to be a centaur, charging the enemy so they can readily get steadily back up by yourself and them deadly. For sneaky bunch, changeling's cool, you make a disguise, get a worthless tool, you can change your face to whatever race, there's nearly no limit who you can fool. Dragonborn, though not the Skyrim kind, are likely the case of the bars that'll find dragons really hot, so now you shoot acid, or whatever other color your parents prefer to acid. The typical dwarf with a beautiful beard, work with your hands and are physically sturdy. You seem informed about rocks, which is weird, try not to obsess or the session will get wordy. Elves are pompous pricks, a dozen flavors to match and mix, they live a long time, don't sleep in said trance, and are hard to be charmed, so bards keep it in your pants. Pick a fearbolt, a chill-ass cow, most of which have a druidic vow, and don't ask how, but they in turn invisible, which is a big concern. Genasi, elemental genie bastards, one of 4 elements that they have mastered in some way, lets them do cool shit like water fence or have a vibrating armpit. Give Yankee and give Zarade, elves that look like they want to die, all they're about is how they clash. Been around 40 years and their lore still trash. Stack, no happy short folk who are smart and wise and cunning and know how to crack. Invisible camouflage, be it sneaking or magic or a cool roguish montage. Whack, it's the goblins, small size hits hard on your noggin. Their nimbleness makes it hard to keep pace, they'll hide and vibe, quick slide and hit your face. Muscles are in, Goliath by, so the hottest IMO is Goliath. They're 8 feet tall, have steel for their bones, and can shrug off damage like one-man riots. Half elves, the mutton mules of D&D, extra points to spend on 2 abilities and skills out the asses of best of both races, and backstories usually come from super places. Half orc, like I said, muscles are in, you're a ruthless ruthless brute who fights to
Oh,
win.
yeah.
Crits get crits and you
What?
get terrified.
Oh,
If you
stop.
like
I
it,
was
you
thinking
can
of
say
some
no,
shit.
you die. If your luck is nasty, the halfling's good. You re-roll once and win like you should, and you're hard to scare.
At least I'm doing conveyor belts.
And you can slip
Yeah.
through if it's angry off the flag. And humans get a little bit of everything. They lack gimmicks or special flair or any zing, and are all around average. You know how it is, and the perfect pick if you're boring. Hobgoblin. They trust in a code, be it God or communism or giant toad. They're a prideful chode, so whenever you fail, the more watch every try need to go beast mode. If you're an edgy avian, Kenku sneaky, agile, crafty, can easily lie. They can mimic voices to be a bit cheeky. Too bad they get bullied because they can't fly. Kobold is a mischievous one. They hate bright light, and there's often more than one. They can trick dumb fools and steal their jewels, but ganging up together can be pretty fun. Guess it's scaly hours, because lizard folk have sticks up their ass and can't take a joke. They can bite and craft and stay a while underwater, and have hard-ass scales to block cannon fodder. Lots of them are straight-up elephants. They're large size and thick high, make them dead. Got trunks to smell and are wise and mostly married, but piss one off and you'll see they're damn scared. Want to breathe underwater? Locata is a fish. A straight-up fish. Literally, just a fish. Your armor starts high and get tons of resist. Stay dry and you die. You're still just a fish. Big beastly bull is a minotaur. Got points to charge if you run pretty far. Make them shit their pants while you're at it. Being big and scary is a habit. Speaking of orcs, superstitious and strong, but also often wrong with a -2 to aim. That's okay, so to say. You're aggressive and massive. Got angry parents means they're rarely passive. Cat girls rejoice. Tabaxi is here. Obsessed with stuff and quite the sightseer. Fast like a cat, get claws and find far. Tons of coats like leopard, tiger, jaguar. Tiefling's a demon with a lot of looks. They're horny and hot and often a provoker in the lore anyway. A lot of hate. It's normal, I guess, when you're a panty soaker. If you want to be a big reptilian who's strong and hardy, then Tortle has a shell that species a million. So have fun being a hermit immortal. Triton is just an aquatic elf who evolved himself in the continental shelf. And you're basically Aquaman. Fish can understand you. No, they won't do your laundry just because you demand to. A burden like a goblin, but pretentious. Mind powers that make mystics contentious. Bunch of passive shit. What is this? Peak hour? Come back and talk to me when you learn real power. Go on T pure blood like
Wrong, man.
Snaky. Never make a date with one. I hear their
What's
flavor.
wrong?
Manipulate a bunch with magic
Nothing
resistance.
wrong.
Take their
You
role
keep looking
off.
around like, what's going on?
Human mix is the Kalish star. Got a lot of mind shit that's really bizarre, like telepathy. 3 protectively, like angels if they couldn't be effectively. The shifters like a half lycanthrope with 4 different types with exclusive features. You can't transform, at least not fully, so you often look more like a freakish creature. Civic hybrids are a random fusion of aquatic things like a squid or a crab. Gain bonuses depending which one, so have some big pincers for new ways to stab. Warforged robots, forged for war, don't have to eat or sleep or breathe, and what's more is you're tanky as well, being hard to steal. The only downside is you'll never truly feel. The Dalkin tells us nobody's perfect. Look like Navi people without the long neck. They get lots of bonuses. The smart's not shocking. Good luck ever getting one to stop talking. That's a lot, and always remember class race importance is pretty seldom. Use whatever you fancy. Make a chubby fighter dancing. Now you know how to pick your race. You're welcome.
What the heck was that?
What's wrong, you pathetic, sad, procrastinating dungeon master? Can't come up with a worthwhile and interesting combat encounter, and you only have half an hour before the session because you spent the last week fascinating about a totally different campaign you wish to run one day, but ultimately know you never will because you're in a constant state of prep work and insecurity? That's okay.
What the heck was that?
Because no matter how basic the combat is, it's going to take
It's gonna blow!
spellcasters and people on their phones.
This is where you get 40 up and get a blowing rifle.
That and an excuse to show off whatever art of the thing the players are fighting that they damn paid $3 grand in commissions or miniatures to make for them. Or you could just grab whatever the nearest thing on your shelf is and say, fuck it, we're fighting this little bastard today. Welcome to a crap guide to D&D. Goblins are one of the most iconic creatures in Dungeons & Dragons, famous for being low and mid-level cannon fodder, having the respawn rate of a seahorse playing Call of Duty, and being overall superior to kobolds in every way. Goblins are what you default to when you have no idea what the party should be fighting, because they're just so splattered all over the realm that everyone just accepts that they can show off anywhere.
Alright, got myself some milk and cookies for some lunch. I'm gonna open the fridge and put the milk back where I want it, and close the fridge and go get my milk.
God, Jesus, what the fuck? Goblins were originally created by the hobgoblins, who one day got really lazy and decided to make a generation of poor saps that they could shove all their baggage onto and then blame for when they economy they know how to save gets destroyed. This has sort of evolved into how goblins mostly live in tribes where the biggest asshole is the leader and everybody else is just sort of used to being treated as poorly as a retail worker. That's not to say all goblins are meek little green muppets. Given enough size and numbers and time to prepare an ambush, and even the most basic goblin squads can turn an 8th level party into the aftermath of eating at White Castle. This is because goblins are a culture constantly raiding like they're trying to get world first and have a knack for throwing themselves at the first thing they see.
I don't know why I can probably send this to if they want to join.
They're also somewhat smart. Leaders of goblin tribes consistently placing first in tournaments of Connect 4, and the race as a whole frequently mounting and fighting alongside creatures such as wards, which are oversized wolves that are perpetually angry as people keep stealing their art off Instagram. If you ever decide to play as a goblin, you'll receive a little bit of dex and con from being agile and resilient little gremlins, and the ability to quickly pussy out of combat like you're at a friend's house and the parents started arguing. And Fury of the Small, where you get to punch below the belt and make the enemy's voice go up as many octaves as your player level. Now that's the general idea of what goblins are supposed to be in the Forgotten Realms, but this is D&D, which means everybody breaks the rules more than an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the fact that goblins are so adaptable to so many situations and environments means that there's no limit to how they can be portrayed or what they can be used for. You can make them mindless monsters that fill the last few empty rooms of a dungeon, or adorable little scamps that the party will adopt the instant they see them, or design them so unexpectedly attractive that it'll make people question if they've discovered a new fetish or if it was there all along and this was just its awakening. You too can throw an endless supply of XP at your party while giving them conflicting feelings on
Right,
that
but
I was just minding his own business and just wanted a little bit of yo. Isn't that right, you sweetie petite? Ow, son of a bitch. And now you know how to use goblins. Booyah! Oh yeah, Crap Guide Goblin plushie available on Makeship. First 100 orders using the code JOECAT gets 15% off.
Legs itchy.
Didn't you already make a Crap Guide to Barbarian? Well, yes, but actually no, that one's garbage. It's shit. It's poopy-doopy and in need of some update and polish like a live service game 2 minutes after release. I've gained a whopping 1 additional point in my intelligence since then, and I'm now superior in every way. Smarter, stronger, more wiggly than ever before. And this is the only one I'm doing, so don't hold your breath for the others. They're perfect forever. So let's start from the top. D&D is for dorks, what with all the complex words and math. It's packed to the brim with a bunch of mechanics and systems, and nobody has the time to read because they're too busy not playing D&D. But no worries, you third-string athlete who occasionally looks at their old high school pictures and then reflects in the mirror wondering what happened. Lucky for you, I have a class that'll need as much brain power as varsity had to use on their midterms. And all you gotta do is learn how to throw a tiny plastic icosahedron just like how you threw every single game coach put you into. Welcome to A Crap Guide to D&D.
What he did, man, we're just going to take this guy as a freaking religion, just do what he says and do.
Everybody likes to hit things, and D&D is the best because you can literally hit anything you want, including the other players. And what better class to hit everything than the Barbarian, who's the best at hitting things and never stopping hitting things. Having a D12 hit die means you have around the googolplex of hit points by level 2, and unarmored defense means the chunkier you are, the better you can block and avoid attacks because the enemy is too distracted at how your fat hairy tits are flailing about. Better yet, you have spider sense, which allows you to avoid traps, spells, social events, and laundry like you've just moved out of your parents' house and are trying to get your life together. But enough about defense. The real reason to play Barbarian is to hit it very hard, going into a bloodthirsty channel your anger into the might of 1,000 dads who just felt the thermostat get adjusted, and during your rage you become the world's greatest goblin juicer. You get bonus damage, advantage on strength checks, and any and all physical attacks will bounce off of your day 1 patch pecs.
And the guy across me has never played Barbarian that much.
What?
You haven't played Barbarian much, have you?
I played a lot, dude.
Barbarian?
Yeah. But remember, I gotta do the noob class, so that's mostly fighter.
There's the Berserker, if you want to swing your weapon like it's taped to a ceiling fan, mistaking stupidity for bravery and have an unlimited supply of Uno reverse cards. Alternatively, the Totem Warrior is like a gateway furry, where you channel your favorite Robin Hood crush and pretend everybody is Prince John. Battle Ranger to become a really pissed porcupine. Storm Herald if you want to make the environment around you as pissed as you are. Zealot if you want to be a diet paladin with a smite and aura that's made with 0 sugar. And Ancestral Guardian if you're a scared little bitch. Offense is the only offense, and I will have none of these tactics in my combat encounters. What, you thought I fingered my brain so I could think harder and waste time when all that planning fails?
Oh man.
Sit around being useless for the rest of the session? What do you take me for? Some kind of wizard? Well, do you, huh? Fuck you, I'll beat the shit out of you. You think you're better than me just because you can count? I hope you like being pavement lotion because you're going to be filling all the cracks in my driveway. And now you know how to play Barbarian. You're welcome.
Do I ever hear that in video game after I hear something the heroes are breaking? I'm like, okay.
I just wanted to take a sec for more people to notice and understand this disclaimer. Most importantly, this part, I don't actually want to upset anybody. It's all part of the character, and I hope everyone keeps that in mind. We good? Okay. Everybody likes personality quizzes, right? See what's your spirit animal, how burnt of a toasted slice of bread you are, what's your worst trait as an employee based on the brand of cereal you like to buy. They're great because most most of the time, if you don't like what the quiz results give you, you can look up which answers contribute to what result and just get the one that you wanted in the first place and then brag about it on social media. Wow, would you look at that? I'm such a Slytherin because I'm so cunning, right? Yeah, well, joke's on you. That was all an intelligent ruse. I'm actually a Ravenclaw. Or am I? Same with star signs.
Hey, whoever's watching, you can say hi. We can try and answer any questions you have.
Sometimes overthinks things and can be impulsive, but at the end of the day, wants to do the best that you can for the people you care about while never settling for the worst possible outcome. And I could say I just described a Libra and they eat that shit up like they're a pet that just found some stray cardboard. Luckily, Dungeons & Dragons doesn't have any of that dumb personality shit that nerds argue about for hours on the internet in hopes to totally hone the other side with facts and logic or anything. Welcome to A Crap Guide to D&D. An old relic of the past and the easiest way to start fights both on and offline, the D&D alignment chart is its version of a personality quiz that no one can agree on. You've likely seen this tic-tac-toe board being used with pop culture characters being placed in each segment, giving a vague idea of what each of them means. But then all it takes is for you to put someone in the wrong place and then everyone starts throwing fists as if they had just found out that you used their facial hair razor to shave your butthole. Remember, characters can only be one alignment forever and must only ever do things considered to be that alignment because thinking about character depth and development is hard, and when people disagree with me, I take it as a personal attack. More importantly, as a player, you get to say what your character's alignment is, and no one can ever debate that you're not playing that alignment because you know your character better than they do, and they're just jealous and wish their scrubby sheet was as cool as yours, so they can suck fat nards. Small smooth brains think lawful means the literal sense as in following the law, but instead what it really means is having a strict set of rules, whether it be moral, legal, or because your boss is telling you to do it. It's one of the most predictable alignments. 99% of the time when a lawful character sets out to do something through a promise or obligation, they actually follow through, which is why they make great fitness instructors, because when they say they're not going to fuck your mom, they actually don't fuck your mom. A lawful good act is keeping the promise because it's the right thing to do. A lawful neutral keeps the promise because it is a promise and they're going to stick by it even if fucking your mom saves the universe. And a lawful evil keeps the promise because they're going to fuck your dad instead since you technically didn't say anything about him. Inversely, the chaotic side of the chart are for characters that don't give a fuck about their integrity and do whatever the hell they want because they feel like it. Small smooth brains will use this alignment as an excuse to be a total wangrod and have an inconsistent character with no definable traits. Also known as the chaotic alignment's more recognizable cousin, the stupid alignment, with its constant wacky, lol so random XD approach to playing their character. The most common examples of chaotic acts are lying, cheating, and stealing, aka part of a rogue's balanced breakfast. A chaotic good is stealing from the rich and giving to the less fortunate. A chaotic neutral cheats to win a tournament and uses the winnings to eat something aside from a bread sandwich every night. And a chaotic evil will lie about not fucking your dad again and then burst into his bedroom as soon as you blink like a really slutty weeping angel. The good and evil sides of the alignment chart are pretty straightforward. Good is if you're a good person and evil if you're a jackass. But that's a small smooth brain surface level understanding of good and evil, as in no, just because you don't stab people doesn't mean not stabbing them is a good act just because stabbing them is a lot easier. Good acts are ones that go out of the character's way to do good and help others, sometimes even to the good person's detriment, and oftentimes even if there's no promise of any sort of reward in return for the act, like using your own hand to get a friend's
So I like in the models and dominance.
even after a night of really
I think I did really good on this one even though I fucked it up.
straightforward, i.e. actions that could actively harm people or not caring about how those actions could knowingly harm people. An evil act would be being
Oh fuck it, still looks cool.
No, the one I fucked up at? The base.
But good and evil doesn't just
No, I don't care. I would do that too.
Just because you have nice ends doesn't mean having mean.
He's towering over the dead Necron.
Yeah.
To find out where they're hiding their captives so you can save them. A good act could be offering some snacks and a binge watch of their favorite show.
Number 2 is mine.
Whereas an evil act would be chopping their nipples off.
Jokingly, the people are looking at the screen, they're noticing I'm not even looking at the instructions at all building this guy.
You're a god, that's why.
Oh my god.
How much crap do you build for it?
I never build these models.
Okay, like I said, how often do you build crap for entertainment? That includes anything else that revolves taking vasectomy tools, clipping it, and throwing it together to make something.
Almost every day.
Yeah, so shut the hell up.
The one that's always playing devil's advocate for literally everything, like they spend 10 hours discussing opinions on Reddit. And there you have it, the totally accurate, totally objective descriptions for each side of the alignment chart with no...
Which I know one item you can't wait for to get done.
What?
The Mark III power helmet.
Yeah.
So you can do it wear around your house with freaking just shotgun you own, it'd be all Legion of the Damned is here.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you what kind of that shotgun is.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's a fake shotgun. Anyone who's watching wants to call the FBI on me.
Why would they?
I don't know. People are paranoid nowadays.
Character sheets.
Why do I need to know animal handling? The fuck is Arcana? The shit are hit
Oh, Hasbro actually makes that Power Ranger RPG with 5th ed mechanics. I'm going to be looking at it like...
I'm going to reteach you how to do math because let's be honest, you still use a calculator to add and subtract single digits. Welcome to A Crap Guide to D&D.
Jack got my finger.
Okay, so we got this guy built.
This is your character sheet. Your character cannot exist without it. However, it doesn't always have to look like this. It could be a simple flashcard, a scribbling in a notebook, or an app on your phone if you like being spoon-fed like a baby who laughs at the phrase pee pee poo poo watermelon. And when playing
I can't believe how you laughed at that part last second.
the character sheet when you have to roll the various kinds of dice that decide the outcome of your actions. Many are intimidated by this mighty thingy's magnificence, but mourn them ye shall not, for they be weak-ass bitches. It looks like a whole lot, but get a hold of yourself and take it one step at a time. The first person to voluntarily stick something up their butt didn't
Okay, what's right here? We got the night people.
Stick something up their butt. They just did it. And look how far we've come. First of all, at the top we have the basics: name, class, race, background, and dumb BuzzFeed quiz
So,
results.
what's those guys have guns, right?
Which ones?
One of those armies.
These right here, yeah, they did the chainsaw and.
No, I'm talking about yours.
Yeah, they have both carbines.
Okay, so I'll just add chainsaw and pistols to these guys. Sounds like an idea?
Mm-hmm.
How much shit you can carry, how well you can push or pull heavy objects, and how well you can make your pecs dance. It also determines the weapon damage for most melee weapons, but we'll get to that later. Next is dexterity, the little bitch version of strength. It's your hand-eye coordination, reflexes, and balance, and how well you can hide your handheld when you hear mommy and daddy stomping up to your room like Godzilla. Where strength is about how you can plow through
Warrior there.
thrown at you, dex is about how you can limbo walk under it. Dex can also be used with what are called finesse weapons, which lets you pick between the two physical stats when rolling attacks and damage in case you skip arm yet. Constitution is your general vitality, how healthy you are, your endurance, and is used for rolls as frequently as a millennial eats breakfast. It mostly only affects your overall hit points, but it's still fairly important and can be treated like the amount of candy in your pantry.
Everyone's just hearing you be like, miniature down. They're going like, what's the other guy doing? He's moving really slow.
Well, we got Mary. You build it a different way, so.
It's used for general knowledge-based checks involving things like recalling info and history.
Anyone says anything to me, I'm like, hey, there's a little thing called F off. Go practice it.
It's also used as a spellcasting modifier for both the wizard and artificer classes. Oh, don't worry, we'll get to spellcasting later. Impatient bitch. Wisdom is one that confuses a lot of people because they think it's just like intelligence. And I'm willing to bet those are the kinds of people who think cheese and mayonnaise can coexist on a sandwich. No, wisdom is more your street smarts and also general senses. It's knowledge.
So he doesn't like a Whopper, I see.
No, not that experience. And it's the difference between knowing if a plant is poisonous and knowing that the person who told you it was poisonous lied about it because they don't want you finding their beloved lemon tree, you damn lemon whores. It's also the casting ability of clerics, druids, and rangers. Finally, it's charisma, how to tell if your character fucks. It can mean anything from your general likability to approachability to public speaking ability to betting ability. It's your charm, your confidence, and general way with people, whether it be luring them into a trap or aggressively scaring them so bad that they actively jump onto the trap out of fearful compliance.
I like the fearful compliance part.
Paladins, sorcerers, and warlocks, because remember, you gotta look pretty for the boss patron if you want to get that big eldritch bonus. Now that we're done covering ability scores, we can go over how you get them. And there are 3 generally used methods. If you're a wee baby who needs to meticulously make your perfect OC or else it won't be faithful to your precious self-insert, there's the point buy system, which works like a basic video game. All your stats start at 8 and you have a pool of points, usually 27, to distribute between them all, with the cost going up to 2 points per ability score increase higher than 13 and the cap being at 15. If you hate math, that's too bad because there's going to be loads of it later, but if you want slightly less of it, there's also standard array.
Here's a die, roll.
14, 13, 12, 10, and 8 to arrange on any of your scores. But if that's still too much choice and you want to put your character into the grubby hands of Armed Jesus, there's the most likely method, which is rolling 4d6 and dropping the lowest number. This can get you scores anywhere from a whopping 18 to a poo-poo dookie 3 if your DM is a sadist and doesn't do grace.
I don't know, are you a sadist, Yolan?
Chunkier stats. Whatever method you do,
oh, okay, I got faith. Nope.
Ooh boy, are you overwhelmed yet? You have to keep track of 2 whole numbers. What a crazy catastrophic conundrum. Well, don't you worry your stubby earlobes because those big numbers aren't really that important. Their main purpose is to determine a smaller number called a modifier, which means you can totally ignore this number when you actually start to pillage the village. There's a fairly simple mathematical equation to figure out what each number's bonus is, but I know you're a dumb silly pants, so here's a chart. Now will you stop crying about it? The reason the ability modifier is important is because it's what you add to your dice roll whenever they're applicable. So if you have a lot of strength, you're going to get a little extra oomph whenever you need to punch the vending machine when your chips are stuck. Have low charisma and you're going to have a hard time convincing the janitor that you weren't the one who broke it. Keep in mind you can still roll great with low stats and roll badly with high stats, but having high ability modifiers makes it so your rolls are more in your favor. Now that you have your scores all placed and your modifiers figured out, now we can determine where those modifiers go, which means we can look at this spaghetti jumbling mess of words. Now don't go running a mommy calculator just yet, it's so easy even Fireman can figure it out. At the top here are your saving throws. These are your defenses and resistances to various bad bads that want to smush you up and turn you into a turd. Things like traps, area of effects, most spells, and that little voice telling you that you're making poor decisions. You don't roll these on your own most of the time, instead your DM will ask you to make them whenever you're put in harm's way. And you see these little spaces? That's where your ability modifiers go. That's right! This way you can refer to these numbers to add to your rolls whenever
you've been insulting about some numbers, okay with it.
Right now. Next are your skills. These are the various different
capabilities. But I'm okay, I can support that.
To do in a regular game of D&D. And each one is affected by your ability scores, just like your saving throws. And just like your saving throws, there's this trusty little space for you to put your awesome stalking and or poodoo modifiers. And how can you tell what ability mod goes where? Well, you foolish mortal wombat. Just look at this helpful little parentheses that tells you what it's attributed to. Go down the list and now you have a reference for what your character's good or terrible at. Got high dex? Well, congratulations, your sleight of hand means you can cheat at poker better. Bad at intelligence? Well, then you're probably not going to know who President Dingle Bloopy Noop is during the history segment of Are You Smarter Than a Kobold? Now, we're not quite done yet with this la-la-la. We got to go over what proficiency is.
Proficiency.
Proficiency is what separates the fit gamers from the hardcore top 500 ultra platinum uber pros. And you can find it in this little dingle. Starting at level 1, your proficiency bonus is 2, and it increases as you level up more and more. Basic gist, it goes up by 1 every 4 levels. This number is added to anything you are proficient, aka trained with. And as far as saving throws and skills go, this will be signified by a little check mark. And which ones those little check marks go into is determined by a combination of your class, background, and on rare occasion, race. For example, a fighter has proficiency in strength and con saving throws. So wha-bang, wha-bang. Add those numbers. They also get to choose 2 skills to be proficient with from this list according to the
Who takes me the penalty of law?
Here we're just going to go athletics and perception. Let's say you're also a hermit. You get these 2 skills to be proficient in. Always remember, whenever you're proficient with something, it means you get to add this sexy number on top of whatever appropriate ability modifier that's added to the dice roll you make. Proficient in athletics, roll a d20, add strength mod, add proficiency bonus. And if at any point you forget what you're proficient in, just refer back to the player handbook for your race, class, and background. Congratulations, you now know how 90% of Dungeons & Dragons works. You feeling smart yet? You feeling like you can wrestle a spider cow? Well, sit the hell back down because we're not done yet.
Combat.
Now that we're done with the stat portion of the character sheet, we can look at the combat portion. This section is what you refer to when your DM says clickety-clackety, you're about to get attackety. Up at the very top left is your armor class, or AC for short. This by default is 10 plus your dexterity modifier. No, I said the modifier, not the score. Pay attention. However, this can be increased by the different types of armor. Whichever one you start with will depend on which class you pick. Next is initiative. Whenever an encounter begins, initiative is rolled and determines who goes first and who stacks dice for the next half hour. This number is the same as your dexterity modifier and is added to your initiative roll at the beginning of an encounter. And this last little block is speed, which is how much you can move across the checkerboard each turn. Each square equaling 5 feet of movement if you're normal and use the Imperial system, and is initially determined by your race or how well you can try to convince your DM that your character ran track in high school. Below that are the hit points, maximum, current, and temporary. Your maximum hit points. How
can I prevent you get people to think that you can my character's run track? How can I convince you that you're on?
I don't know. I also do something smarter than most people.
I'll figure it.
Well, what's your racial buff? This. Okay, now what's your modifier from your stat, your dex and dexterity? From the dexterity. And your con. Why those 3? Con is constitution, how well sounding you have, dex is how nimble you are, and strength is how strong you are. But all that together, sorry about signing me.
Back.
Like a training bill. Oh, holy grenade.
Oh, holy grenade! Hi, hold it there. I'll just shoot my pension over a reason.
Skin-tight leather jackets from the 90s X-Men movies, in that they don't stack on top of each other, and you have to pick which one you want to keep if given multiple of them. And if you're on the floor dying from a stab wound, you can magically stitch it together. And what are these 2 lonely boxicles? Well, my stupid student, they're yin and yang, 2 sides of a coin, one for when you're alive and the other for when you're unalive. The former being your hit dice. You have as many of these as your player level, and can spend them whenever you take a sip for as long as a single episode of a Netflix original show to recover your hit points. What size of hit dice is once again determined by your class, and you get them back whenever you binge an entire season's worth of a Netflix original show. But what do you do when you're bleeding out while dressed in a 90s teenager's idea of a sexy badass superhero? If your current hit points ever reach 0, you have to look over on this touch-deprived box and start rolling death, where you gamble with Grim each turn and roll your most well-behaved d20 to see whether you love back to life or have a very awkward reunion with those bandits you killed 5 minutes ago. Roll a 10 or higher and you gain a success. 9 or lower and you get a 2 failures if you drop a fat, stinky nat 1. 3 successes or a lucky 20 and you hop back to 1 hit point. 3 failures and your character sheet becomes the DM's ass-wiping supplies.
I see that.
Throw in all your various flavors of stabs. If you have a weapon or attack of some kind, you write it in here and refer to it during combat. Say it's a sword and shield. Yes, both. You would write down the name of the weapon here, then next to it is the attack bonus, aka how accurate your weapon is. No, not the damage. This number is determined by your strength modifier for most weapons, unless it's a ranged weapon like a bow, in which case you use your dex mod instead. Or if it has the finesse property, which allows you to pick either. On top of that, if you're proficient with that weapon, you can add that good old bonus to it too. But how do you know if you're proficient with a weapon? Let's put a peen in that. Alternatively, if it's a spell attack like Eldritch, your attack bonus becomes your spellcasting ability modifier. Let's take a bard, for instance, which is the slut stat plus your proficiency bonus. Whenever you roll a d20 to see if your attack lands, you get to add this number to the total. Alternatively, if it's a spell or special item like a bunch of ball bearings thrown in attempts to recreate Home Alone that requires the enemy to make a saving throw, you can put the saving throw in difficulty class there instead. But how do you know what that number is? We're gonna put a peen in that too. Shut up. Once you have that number, to the right of it is the damage roll, aka how aggressive progressively, you're going to introduce the enemy's face to your sword. This is included in the description of whatever weapon or spell you are using. Whether it be a light jab at their insecurities, a proverbial pounding of pornographic proportions, or 8d6 fire damage in a 20-foot radius, just fire them! Most weapons also include your strength modifier to the damage, unless once again it's a ranged weapon which uses dexterity or a finesse weapon which uses either. The difference being that you don't add your proficiency bonus to this roll unless something says otherwise, and most spells don't add any additional modifiers unless their wall of text explicitly says so. And lastly, make sure you include what kind of damage you're dealing so your DM can know that your psychic damaging vicious mockery won't do much against a revenant because their self-esteem is already in the grave. To recap, when you attack, roll a d20, add this number, which is these, then if you hit the enemy's AC, you roll these, and add this number, which is this.
Spellcasting.
We're going to take a little break from the main sheet to look at this sheet that has a list of all your accomplishments. Oh, look at that, it's blank. This is the spell sheet. If you're playing a character that's capable of casting spells, then you're going to take a gander over to this sheet whenever you cast them. Up here at the top, you can put your spellcasting class in case you're absurd and tend to forget which spells go where, your casting ability, which will depend on the class, your spell save difficulty class, and your spell attack. So
my fucking buttocks.
Put in for spells and your attacks. Well, it's time to
I got butthole cancer
because
singing.
there it is. The spell save difficulty class.
Oh,
also
no.
known as DC.
There's no
refers to when
cure.
you cast a spell that requires the enemy to make a saving throw. And how this is calculated is 8 plus your cast mod plus your poke.
We'll chair back. Sorry, everyone.
The rest of the sheet is for keeping track of all your spells and slots. You write down the spells you have for each level, how many slots you have total, as well as expended, and if you have the spell prepared or not. Note, only certain cast-capable classes apply. Please refer to the player handbook or any other supplementary book regarding your class to find information on what methods you have to go about reading and preparing spells. What? Unsure of what spell slots are because your brain's too smooth? Well, sit the shit back, dip you get, and listen up. The weakest level of spells are called cantrips, or sometimes level 0 if you don't care about hurting their feelings, and they can be cast as many times a day as you want. First level spells and upwards, however, require a resource called spell slots to be cast, or else you'll have to find out the hard way that casting Thunderwave without having your beauty sleep will make the life or death battle with the Underlord of Darkness a lot less epic and a lot more smelling like last night's kebabs. And if the name spell slot makes things too confusing for you, you can use my personal preferred name for them, Mage Bullets. How many Mage Bullets you have per spell level and how you recover them is determined by your specific class and level. So just like 99% of this entirely redundant video, if you want more information, it's best to read the Parking Himbo. And keep track of your goddamn slots, because if you don't and just so happen to be able to cast 5 mage hands a day under section 3, chapter 1, paragraph 12 of the Code of Gelatinous Noobs, the DM has full rights to eat your dice.
I want to see you do that, Johan.
No,
Looking in the mirror,
that's
needs some serious self-reflection after the apocalyptic chasm of the divide of the fan base that was 4th edition of D&D. Wizards of the Coast started to take into consideration for the next version of D&D what gameplay features they wanted to invite to future parties and what gameplay features they needed to take out back and tell to think about the pretty space butterflies.
Oh god, the Yo Yeller joke.
An alignment chart being completely overshadowed by the Chad personal characteristics, each one being a useful tool to remind you of your character's interests, motivations, shortcomings, and sexual fantasies. You never know if you're going to end up having to fuck your way out of a problem, so it helps to be prepared and know exactly what position would be the most in character. Personality traits are the broad strokes of your character. Likes, dislikes, interests, manners, whether or not they think something's a soup or a salad. Ideals are their drive, their principles, and what they vote for during election time. Or if they don't care about voting at all and prefer to stay home to catch a once-in-a-lifetime live marathon rerun of Animal Planet's The Most Extreme. Bonds are personal attachments and experiences they've had. It could be a good friend, a fond memory, or your favorite glow-in-the-dark bouncy ball that always seem to bounce a little bit weirder than all the other ones. And lastly, flaws, which 99% of the players don't actually understand and will probably put something inconsequential, like clumsy. Not me, though, because I'm flawless and perfect. Oh, you don't think so? Well, could a person with weaknesses do this?
Probably not.
This other shit.
Now remember that P we put in wondering how you know what weapons you're proficient with? That goes down here, by the way, and that, along with basically every other section we've yet to cover, can be figured out in this next part, which is what I like to call the copying it over from the book section of the character creation, because that's basically all you do for the rest of the sheet. I gotta take a background, check the player handbook. What proficiencies do I get? Check the player handbook. What about feats and traits? Check the player handbook. What's my starting equipment? Check the player handbook. Or any other supplementary book relevant to your chosen race, class, background, level, rules, guides, NFL's guide, everyone writing, etc. And with all that done, congratulations. You now have a completed and fully functioning character sheet, ready to be used once, then completely lost, then found again once you've already redone a second one. Or if you're lucky, one that will be used consistently over the course of several years to the point where there's more eraser skid marks than pencil lead, and the once firm sheet of paper turning as soft as a tissue person's dick after seeing you in the shower. Now you know how to use a character sheet. You're welcome. Hey, you kind of forgot to write your backstory. Fuck!
Yeah, this one's kind of weird to me. This one's kind of weird to me.
What are you trying to do?
Trying to get this upper torso on here.
Oh yeah, they get pretty weird.
Am I on this one?
No, get off of there.
But it's not working, cause I don't know if it's on there or not.
This is how I got Patrick to switch to Aldi. He was all, I need the best ingredients.
I thought Aldi was just prepackaged food.
Yep.
Let me put this light down.
In playing D&D for as many sessions as I've had, I've collected my fair share of bad D&D stories. This one in particular was my top RPG horror story, hands down. Whenever a conversation would come about awkward D&D sessions, I go, guys, you gotta hear this. And this was my go-to ace in the whole session. Which, why have I not told it yet? So, settle in.
Okay.
It's gonna be the greatest ride since the roller coaster that killed all those innocent people.
Ooh.
I had an old 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons group that I played with for a while when I first got into the hobby. One of the DMs had invited me to play in a special Dungeons & Dragons game. When I asked what exactly made this game special, he explained. Our DM was interested in getting together what he called an all-star D&D group together. He wanted to have a more cinematic game experience. He didn't want to spend an entire session walking to a town, spending 1 hour role-playing, 6 hours fighting, the players just not remembering their abilities. He looked at me and said, hey Ben, I'm making a responsible game for responsible people, and you look like you're a guy who's got all his shit together, and who doesn't forget his spells, and takes it most seriously serious.
This guy probably doesn't know his own friend. That's how sad it is.
Concepts that are not super lame, and doesn't talk out of character, and is super smart, big brain-having person. And these are all very true things that he said to me. And if you've seen my other videos, you can confirm that these are all
bullshit,
factual statements that are not incorrect or wrong in any way, shape, or form. Basically, joking aside, he was inviting me to a game of D&D that was trying to be more serious. Surprisingly, I was one of the more serious people playing at the time. Our table was kind of a goofball group. We made jokes, we talked shit. I at least paid attention during his info and lore dumps. I couldn't remember anything, but at least I tried. When we would have super long comment sessions, people would often tune out and need an update on what was going on. And I get it, I really do. I think anyone who's been playing D&D for any length of time knows that, well, you want to have this Lord of the Rings experience. You usually end up at the Shire, with players debating about gardening for 3 sessions, with a DM trying to get somewhere, but it keeps getting undercut by people talking out of character, and everyone becoming distracted by minor things.
You know how you fix that?
Bitch slap him.
Force of hands.
I've got a plan. And then it cuts to some high-octane chase scene. You don't watch a movie where you have the characters debating for an hour before nothing happening. Plus, we were a group of 7 people. He wanted to try DMing for a smaller table. So I said, okay, that sounds like fun. I'm in. We were told not to bring our own characters because he wanted to make our characters in session 0. The day of the game, I show up. And there's 2 people that I haven't met before. One is a new player, and the other is his girlfriend. I start talking to them, asking, oh, you guys play D&D? The new player goes, what's D&D? I was just invited to play a game. Turns out, the DM was trying to surprise him, so he explained nothing about what he had planned for today.
How to piss off players.
There's supposed to be another new player, but he hasn't shown up, and he's not going to come, because he had to bail at the last minute. We asked the girlfriend, hey, you want to play? She shrugged. Maybe? The DM butted in, she has to play. The DM explained that in D&D, there are 4 roles. Leader, Defender, Striker, and Controller. He suspects that the reason we've been having so much of a problem in the other games is that we've doubled up. We've got duplicates of each one. In order to fix this, we're just going to have 1 of each of the 4-player roles. 4 players, 4 roles. Oh, no. I know where this is going. Usually with me as a player, I usually don't like going into games where people are like, oh, come on Wednesday and we need you to bring a cleric or bring this specific class. The reason I don't necessarily like that is usually because they aren't just asking me to play the class, they're asking me to play it in a very specific way. When they say, come on Thursday and bring a cleric, what they mean is, we need a healer. You know, we need you to outfit your character so he has healing capabilities. Or if they're like, bring a rogue on this thing. They want me to find traps. They want me to sneak. They want me to steal stuff. And so whenever people are asking me to make a specific character, they're usually asking that because they want me to play it in a very specific way, and I lose that freedom. So already, I can kind of tell where this is going. We sit down. Because these are new players, the DM has to explain D&D to them. So he starts going through the general introduction of D&D as a role-playing game. Each player assumes a persona, one of the characters, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually we get to the character creation. The DM pulls out a stack of blank character sheets and pencils. And I immediately panic and pipe up. Wait a second. We're making characters by hand? Yep. We've got to be some new players here. Do you really think that's a good idea? Maybe you want to do pre-gens? Or, hey, why don't we use that online character creator, huh? Just to explain, in 4th edition, there was an online program which you could use to make your character for you. Unlike D&D Beyond, where you have to pay for each book you use, this program was a $7 per month thing. But it had every single book and every supplement, and there was a lot of options. It was nice to have everything in one place between Player's Handbook 1, 2, 3, the World Books, all the Dragon Magazine options. It was great for new players and even veterans because as you were making your character, it would tell you what you were qualified for and what you weren't. If there was an error or something, it would prompt you, hey, you changed your class. You can't use this weapon anymore. So that's why I had to ask, why are we not using the character builder? Because they need to learn how to play D&D the right way. He handed them a pencil and a blank character sheet. The problem with our old group, he felt, was that his players would just go online, pick powers at random, print off a character sheet, and use their powers willy-nilly. His players, he suspected, weren't really digging into the meat of how their abilities work. He argued that if they at least took the time to write everything down, you'd at least know what's going on in it. You're not going to have this situation where someone picks a doppelganger as their race, and then 4 sessions in, finally reads the ability and goes, wait a second, I can change into other people? Oh, look, I had this. That person was me, and I feel really bad about it. In 4E, writing by hand was particularly troublesome because so much of combat relies on these powers, which often have secondary effects. So he asked us, which player is going to be which role? We already know there's 4 players for 4 roles. We can't double up. I decided to pick last. The new player picks striker, the girlfriend picks defender, my friend picks leader, and I pick controller. We then each pick a class. The striker role picks the rogue class. Our defender role picks the fighter class. Our leader class picks the war priest, and I, as the controller, pick the wizard class. We then went on to character race.
Okay, I need to stand up too.
Have to have high strength and constitution.
Oh god, yeah, I need to stand up.
Dwarf or human. Or one of the other ones, I type in, there's a whole set of races you could play as. The DM shook his head. No, we're not having this match class races. Made this mistake once before, we're not making it again. Because this is going south so quickly, I keep offering some suggestions. But
by the way, if anyone believes that, you must pick a certain race for a certain class. Do not come to my campaign.
Or use character building program. Or just skip over this section. But it's not working. Have you ever gotten so embarrassed that you just wanted to blend in with the wall and fade away?
I tried before, I couldn't.
Didn't work.
I'm sitting on the couch, and every time we get
That's sad. We both were like, wait, it didn't work. I've seen by all.
And I'm sinking a little bit lower and lower into the cushion.
I don't get it. What am I doing wrong here?
What's wrong?
It says I put the goal right here and I can't get it in here.
Oh wait, where you put the glue?
On the arm? This is the problem here.
Yeah, I know. I found out it's better to put the glue around the stub of these ones. Because, yeah, can I get this off? No.
No, we have to snip the knob.
You probably have to because I tried to rotate these in.
Okay, cool. Snipping. We have to put it right there. We have to commit surgery.
Yeah, because I was curious about those guys as I was building them. I was like, why is this not going? I felt you have to rotate.
Why did they tell you to put the backpack on first?
Don't know.
You're communist, that's why.
I learned to literally put the arms on, then backpack. That's how
I
I
learned
build.
this to cuss out GW next time I go to one of your conventions. What's up?
Not much fun when you're a new player.
Oh,
What's funny?
what did our Lord give us today?
Hopefully you guys will get this musical reference. Yeah. Maybe you'll get this musical reference.
It's a lot of paperwork to do before you actually play the game.
I have a brother. I'm lucky I have 2 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 3, and I've got a sister who's the love of my
I
life.
can't remember how long she's been playing but I do remember that she was quiet.
She's from Alabama.
Yeah.
She seemed
I believe it.
really lost, and I don't know.
He's calling him hillbilly.
Because she doesn't recognize a lot of English words like Constitution.
That song is called Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet home.
Because this is what Biden says.
I have a brother. I'm lucky I have 2 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 3, and I've got a sister who's the love of my life.
What? Okay. So we vote for Biden, we get incest. Gotcha. I can support this because I don't fucking carry it away.
By the way, honest, we're not a political stream.
We're not political, but I'm an asshole. So fuck it.
We are not getting involved in any form of politics whatsoever.
Except
I
in our-
hear how people make fun of
Except the
Biden's
important,
stupidity.
except the important one, anarchy. But anyway,
I can't see right behind me. And a lighter.
Like to see that.
yeah.
Hi, lady.
The characters are set up. The DM is totally happy with our characters. I'm playing as a child wizard named Kevin. Our other veteran is a Tempest War Priest and a noble. Our Dragonborn fighter is
Dragonborn.
big. And our halfling rogue is
Small.
a rogue that is a halfling. That's all I can remember about them.
Yeah.
We start off and get into a fight. There's some role playing going on, but it's just between me, the DM, and the cleric. The 2 new players are just watching us with this what's the fuck look on their faces.
The best looks in the world.
I know I, as the character, should be trying to include them more in the dialogue, but that would require me to make eye contact with them. I'm so embarrassed. I just can't. Besides, after what we put them through, if they want to sit out, I'm fine with that. During the roleplay, I ended up doing a little skit. My character got stabbed, and it led to this overly dramatic thing where Kevin is burst into tears. He thought he was going to die. The pain was horrible. The cleric healed him, but he continued to whine about it. The DM explained to the new players, D&D is, at its core, a storytelling game. You need to not worry about the numbers, stats, damage. Actually, I prefer not to use the term role-playing. It's a bit misleading. Really, it's acting. You are actors, trying to convey the emotional highs and lows, and focusing on the story is the most important part. After the session was over, with 30 minutes to play, the DM started giving us pointers. Fighter, really, you should think about using a voice. Try going a bit more deep. You're a dragonborn for crying out loud. Cleric, you are a noble. Try being a bit more respectful, a bit more.
Is that even a thing nowadays?
I guess you could say.
Respectful?
And
Yeah.
then, the thing you did with Kevin where he was crying like it was okay.
I don't know.
But yeah, totally.
What the hell did you do, Floor?
He's a bit.
It attacked my ankle.
innocent, don't you think?
Now it's Chihuahua, okay. You have one Chihuahua in there, and you got
Then
one
you see
right.
the. I don't know. You see the.
30 minutes.
Oh look, the semen sticking in the face of the dog.
Pow, 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 bombs off.
They're look at the screen like, what the
Got
fuck?
in their car, left, and the
Nah,
saddest
Park
part
came back.
is I never saw them again. That was
Sweet
the
home,
first
oh
and last
God.
time I ever
Oh
met
man,
them.
I have 2 more
And
days of
one
work.
thing I regret is I never got to tell them how
You know, I go to work
very
Friday,
sorry
so that's
I was
training.
about how that game went down.
Sitting on my butt.
I found out afterwards that our DM wasn't happy with the way our regular group had been running. He felt that we were playing our characters too suboptimal, and that's why the fights were taking an ungodly length of time. Which is why he was interested in playing D&D the way it was intended, the way it was represented in the book, with 4 roles, 1 character from each role, at the appropriate levels, with the appropriate class and race. But part of the difficulty comes down to mathematics. Like, the enemy has 200 hit points, and the players can dish out only about 20 points of damage in a round, excluding missed attacks. That fight is going to take 10 rounds, no matter how much you slice it. I kind of wanted to make 4E stories for a while, but I couldn't really make a video on some of those earlier games and always decide against it, because what would I do? A lot of them were just flat boring. of video would I make? After all, if I were to make that video, it would just be me on the screen going, we fought goblins for 8 hours, and then cutting the video right there.
He's honest.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 more guns.
What do we got here? Ooh.
Here it is, the space combat game you've been waiting for.
Hemorrhoids?
Take control of the legendary starfighters and become the galaxy's finest pilot in Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh, boo.
On G2A.com.
A while back, both my friend and I had just gotten out of convention floor, having run our D&D games. We met up afterwards, and she noticed how traumatized I looked, with that mile-wide stare in my eye, and also the fact that I was huddled into a ball in the corner, questioning my life choices. She asked what had happened, and
Have you ever had that
know
happen?
the game
I do that every time I wake up.
was one of the worst ones I've ever run. Which led to a conversation, if that one wasn't the worst, which one was? And as we talked, I realized that I had never told the story of some of the bad games that I've played in / run on the YouTube channel. I actually tend to focus on the games that turned out okay, which might be surprising to some people. Well, I'm going to be telling a few of those stories because there's not one particular game that is the bottom of the barrel, but a collection of them. What I'm going to make is a worst games I've run series with multiple entries, unfortunately. And each video is just going to be one story. So, this particular journey starts off, and I decided to run games for this convention. A lot of the conventions that host D&D have a policy that if you agree to DM a certain number of tables for them, they will pay for your badge. For this convention, you had to run 6 tables to get free entry. So, I said that sounded pretty cool. I signed up for 6 2-hour time slots. I didn't realize at the time that the schedule
You got a dildo? I mean ditto?
4-day convention. One of the days
Not only it can do breeding.
2 games on each of the
That is annoying when the fire.
Do you know what I found out though? Do you want to expire the idea for ditto?
What?
If you're like, well, how can we put Kirby in Pokemon?
What?
Yeah,
I thought it was Jigglypuff.
no, that's really what they did for Ditto, because they have Jigglypuff. They wanted a character like Kirby who can just take a form of something, take power of something. They're like, why don't you take this blob and just make it transform into whatever it fights? Genius. But then you gotta realize Pokemon game, it was a bad Pokemon. And then you realize in 2 that Ditto, the only thing Ditto was good for was a sex slave. Yeah, that's pretty much. If I ever get a Ditto in a Pokemon game, I'm just gonna name it Quagmire.
Well, it's better than what we named it.
Oh God, what you name it? Saints Road? Do I want to know now?
Red light.
Oh, okay. Call the cops now?
I really didn't have any knowledge of what the sex toys were called back then.
Well, let's be honest.
Put them on there.
Let's be honest. I don't think anything can beat the name my brother gave Heracross. And that's what he called me. Hey, what kind of should I name this Heracross? I can't think of nothing good, brother. George, that's genius. What? I'm gonna name it nothing good.
I give it a glance. I'm actually going to be cutting some of the details in the story because I don't want to be trashing this module too hard.
Just trash anyway. That's what I do.
Adventure summary and skip through the details. It looks like they want the players to track down a mysterious
Boogity,
game,
boogity,
ask
wow,
around,
boogity, boogity,
find
boogity,
weird,
boogity.
fight a little bit, then talk to a guy. I said, oh, that's cool. It's a nice mystery.
Okay, cool. So I got
That
that done.
case, but I don't know that yet. The players arrive at a town square.
Guess how long have we been at this?
For information.
Take a wild guess.
They enter the scene, I'm like,
2 hours.
Just read it?
An hour and 26 minutes.
All the important
Cool.
I think, if I'm reading this right. Probably I'm not.
As I read, I slowly get the sinking feeling in my chest as I start to realize, oh wait, I can't direct them to any important scenes because nothing here is important.
You fucked up? How dare you, DM? We must try you for heresy.
The town square scene basically says, kill 45 minutes of the player's time talking to NPCs. I have nothing to give the players because they're in the wrong location and they don't know it, and it doesn't get
the DM information.
Like, they're supposed to come here, in the module, they're supposed to come here and ask for info, but I can't give them anything because it has nothing for me to give them. And so I get confused, but I realized when it said that this scene was about the PCs gathering information, they're technically right. They're gathering information, but not the information relevant to the case. Random snippets of info. What the module expects the PCs to do is that they will go up to each of the NPCs and ask, hey, tell me about yourself. And the villager will just disgorge all these facts, talking about the boat, the house, the marriage, how the farms are doing. They're just supposed to talk at the players for 45 minutes. And this has nothing to do with their quest. Since the scene is just role-playing, I can't even do a surprise combat encounter because there are no enemies or fiends in this area to pop up. And since this is AL, I can't just start suddenly manifesting a bunch of monsters out of thin air.
I can do it.
Module. The players are supposed to talk to all these NPCs, just get these random snippets of information, and then this guy just shows up and sees you talking to people and says, hey, I noticed that you guys like to talk to people. Well, why don't I give you someone else to talk to? And then he takes them to the head game leader. So I sort of play out the town square scene. It's 20 minutes. The players are really trying to help me out. But I'm struggling to give them stuff to do before they go to the next location. Once we move on, I breathe a sigh of relief. I'm thinking to myself, finally, we're on track. We're talking to this head gang leader. It's the next scene. But
That's the
problem. As I start combing through their information, I slowly get an even deeper sinking feeling because it turns out it's the wrong gang leader. So you basically go up to this guy and ask him for info, and this dude has no idea what you're talking about. It's someone completely unrelated to what you're doing, and he's essentially just a dead end.
dead end. Dead end.
It's not relevant to the players at all, and that's expected to kill another 25 minutes. As you leave the cave empty-handed, you finally get met up. The only actual plot-relevant person who just shows up once they do all that and tells them to go to this lighthouse. And the actual gang you're looking for is off somewhere else, just doing whatever nefarious things they're doing. And that's where the module ends. So we're playing for a little bit, and they're done in an hour. The players, I love them. They're trying, but I got nothing to give them. They say thank you for the game. I pack up my stuff, leave, and then a short while later, I'm whining about it to my friend. After that game, I realized I really shouldn't rely on my improvisation too hard. I came to realize that thinking that I can just go into any scene and just bullshit my way out of it doesn't make for the best games. If I have enough time to plan, I can put thought into the character motivations and encounters, and the improvisation is like crowd filler that kind of smooths out issues in the narrative. But I gotta have something to work with, anything, some skeleton underneath, or else it just doesn't hold together. I mean, the sad part is, with that game, even if I had read it beforehand, I would still have to run it, because that's what the time slot was. And even if I had switched, someone else would have to run it. If you show up at 3 p.m. on a Sunday, that's the game you're gonna get. Part of the problem is that you have DMs and the coordinators. And the coordinators are the ones that pick out the modules, but the DMs have to run them. So you have this issue where coordinators like, I've got 12 weeks to fill, so they get a 12-part series for all the slots, but they don't know which ones are good and which ones are bad. There was another story I can remember where I got assigned this module. I read it. And 5 days later, turned it back to the coordinator like, I can't run this thing because I can't read it. I'm going to talk in abstract details and fudge some of the info so that I'm not trashing someone else's work. Okay, so the game is a mystery. Fine, I like mysteries. There are all these characters running around, gathering clues, and trying to investigate this scenario. The problem comes in that the module is written in such a way that it does not tell the DM what is going on. It tries to put the DM in sort of the position of the player's perspective, where it's like, ooh, you don't know what's going on. So when the characters are lying or being deceptive, it doesn't tell the DM which statements are true and which ones aren't. Something magical or strange will happen, and it doesn't let me know what's actually going on. Because I couldn't figure out what's happening, I had no idea how to run it. Here's an example. There's a scene where the players are talking to this guy, and they ask, "Hey, how did we get these tattoos on us?" And the guy goes, "Oh, must have been that bush." Okay, the scene makes no sense. But there's just this bush. Is the bush magic? Doesn't say. Did the players ever run into the bush? Doesn't say. What do the tattoos look like? Doesn't say. How did the players get the tattoos?
Get in there! Get in there!
Doesn't say. When did the players get the tattoos? If it was a while ago, why did they not think it was weird? You'd think someone would be concerned about it if they just suddenly got all these tattoos all over their body. Well, I guess they are concerned. They just asked now. Funny thing is the bush doesn't appear in the module later or before this point. The entire purpose of the tattoos, from what I can tell, the reason why the bush is there is that there's this character who's a tattoo expert, so they have to get into the story, and then later the tattoos just kind of go away. At least I think that's what happened. It doesn't tell me if it goes away. Like, why? I tried writing in all these scenes to make that scene make more sense. Like, oh, maybe the...
So I guess there's two of these, and I can make two different. I can hit this one for two different troops, right?
Oh yeah, one's a sarge, one's a non-sarge.
But if that's the case, why would they need to talk to this guy to ask where they got him from? Wouldn't they be able to figure that out? And also, the villain's supposed to be hidden. Wouldn't they find that suspicious? Or, hey, what if the bad guy, like, collected branches and leaves from a bush and then poisoned the players? Ah! But he doesn't want them to talk to the tattoo expert, and the tattoos don't do anything. So why would he do that? I mean, I guess it's magic. But, like, how am I supposed to run this when I don't even know what's going on? All of that overshadows the major problem. Why the fuck is there just this random bush that gives people random-ass magic tattoos that don't do anything? Another thing which was infuriating was that there was this entire mystery that's leading up to this mysterious guy. And there's all these clues that trace back to this guy. A guy who totally doesn't have any relevance to the plot. It turns out that all the clues were just a coincidence. You know how the villain stole the journal of this guy? That seems like it's really important. It's not. And later on, you see a pendant, and inside it's his initials. Why does it have his initials? No reason. The locket is a reference to another game that the players probably didn't play. And witnesses say that they saw his boat nearby. Who is this person? This person was just in the story because this is a follow-up to another module a year and a half ago. They're trying to work him in, so they have no relevance to this story. That is one of the most annoying things. As someone who runs AL modules, is when I see pages and pages of details about something and then find out that all those details are about some other module that is not related to this one and has nothing to do with what we're doing. Anyway, I had gotten into this module and asked to run it. I read the thing several times, and it was such a mess. I couldn't make heads or tails of it, so I ended up changing my time slot so I wouldn't be the one to run it. So, success? The players themselves play it, but at least it wasn't me. And that's all that matters.
You
Yay,
dick.
Me. After the fact, before writing the script, I'm taking notes, thinking to myself, you know what? My memory's not so good, and old Ben was probably too busy. I did kind of have a habit of skipping around and skimming before, so it's probably not that bad. So, I downloaded the module again, and read through it several times. Again, I didn't misremember it. That's what's in there. After that incident, at another convention, I was given another module. I made sure to look online to see what it was rated. 1.5 out of 5 stars, with 20 ratings on it. I just, okay. I saw that, and I slowly started handing it back to them, going,
No.
No, 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 no.
This brings back good memories.
Hmm.
Oh, that's my neck.
I had a conversation with some of my other friends recently about 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons when they saw me hauling in a big stack of them. I had ordered some old D&D books because I saw them online for like just a few bucks a piece. Apparently no one wanted them. The current edition of D&D is 5th, which came out about 5 years ago and replaced it. Why did you order those? Just for nostalgia. You know, I used to play it a lot when I first got into D&D. It was actually my first edition. Really, a lot of people don't talk about it because it just wasn't that popular. The fact that I started with 4th edition is very unusual. Most people either started with 3.5 and then later and began with 5th edition. Because 4th edition was kind of a low point in D&D's popularity. There just weren't as many new people coming to the hobby then. Older D&D fans felt it was a betrayal, deriding it at every opportunity. There's a lot of snobbery with that sometimes. 4th edition was kind of taboo to talk about for a while, and just because it was so controversial and divisive that online conversations would devolve. If you've been online before, you know what I'm talking about. You know how that can happen. Especially with games that have these long, dedicated fan bases. Yeah, it was kind of the black sheep of the family. Older players preferred older edition, and newer players preferred 5th edition. It just sort of went off on its own. But that was kind of the great thing about it. It was so unusual. It took a lot of risks. This is the 4th edition video. Also, I just want to say up front, this really isn't like a review of Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. This is just me talking about my memories and my experience playing with it. So, anyway, there's that. So, yeah, on to the video. This is it. Originally, the way I had gotten into Dungeons & Dragons was online D&D videos. People would tell their stories online. I'd go, oh, hey, what game is that? That sounds really cool.
Oh, man.
I remember the first time I played D&D. I was looking forward to this game for the longest time.
So at, I guess 9:15 we'll just cut off then.
Oh, okay.
That's like an hour, you
Oh
know.
my god.
Okay.
I loved role-playing and getting a character and running through a dungeon. That part was really fun.
Now I'm just
Man,
steamrolling through these guys.
We don't have to really rush it.
it was so slow.
Oh, no, this ain't
painful.
building.
You didn't have any meaningful choices, and everyone had rigid character
Yes.
restricted
I freaked George out because of
It's
this.
just not fun. Although also, I should mention, we had 8 players, and everyone was new, so yeah, there's that. Eventually the group shrunk down to
Bless you.
4 to 5 players.
Joe, the blessing
After
that
the
hurt.
first session, we still all had fun hanging out, and we said, yeah, it'll be more fun once we learn the system and figure out what's going on. 2 months later, we were still struggling with it, but we're like, yeah, just give us more time. We're new to this. Until, you know, we've really only been playing for like a year. Now's the time when we really know what we're doing. Up until the last session I played, could not tell you what was going on in that game. I played 4th edition for over a year and a half, and the entire time, if you would pause the game, it would be like, explain to me what's going on in the scene. I could not give you a straight answer. It was just way too complicated to tell. I played a few sessions of 3.5 at the same time when I was playing 4th edition, and let me tell you, I was playing a dwarf fighter. I remember I'd pull out my bow, and I'd fire a shot, and roll damage, and that was it. In 4th edition, I would pull out my mace, run up to someone, and smack someone with my mace and give my ally +3 to their extra attack power. But then as I approached, I'd be in their aura from their frost armor, which is forming crystals in my limbs, giving me a -1 penalty to the attack roll. But wait, he's also standing next to his portal. He's open to the nether realms, and inky black tendrils are wrapping around him, giving me a +1 bonus to his AC. But in response, one of my buddies has cast a small miniature sun, partially blinding everyone, and 2 square bursts, means AC -1. So when I go in to make my attack, he uses immediate interrupt to swap with his ally next to him, taking the blow. Aha! But then his fire burst armor goes off, triggering me to get a blast of fire. But wait a minute, our fighter has marked him, triggering his immediate attack whenever the enemy makes a move. And the warlock has summoned his Niasis claws, which are the celestial claws that levitate above his head in the air. If he moved, you would take another additional 3 points of damage. But wait a minute, the enemy shaman has summoned a flaming chariot, which gets a move over your square, doing 2 points of fire damage. If you draw a new weapon in next turn, then you're going to take another 2 points of damage. It's supposed to be an introductory game!
That's like a pain in the dick, and I'm like,
That's the way it should go down. Really, what would happen is I'd run up, bop someone for 4 points of damage, and then a turn or 2 later, someone would say, "Wait a second, wasn't my miniature son there? Didn't he have a penalty? Hey, wait, he had a mean move. Wait, if he had a mean move, didn't I have an attack?" In that situation, there are no good actions. If you rewind to fix the fight, it feels unfair. And if you just play it out, it feels like you got cheated out of a fight. As if you won because of an accident. I remember combat was always like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You go back and forth on initiative, making sure that all the abilities went off. Or worse, oh, wait a second, I was supposed to have a +2 bonus this whole time.
be free!
For 5 attacks, this should have hit. And once again, I get it, as 5th edition has that a bit. But there's 1 or 2 things you gotta keep in mind. In 4th, there's so many. But because every character and enemy can put down its own 1-round status effects, There's a ton of stuff to keep track of. And also, guess what? It didn't matter because the fights were so easy that got a bunch of damage bonuses. You'd still win anyways. But that was more how we were running it. In 4th edition, they kind of didn't really have spells. They had powers. Every single character had about the same number of at-will encounter daily powers. Each power would have different cooldown periods to wait before you get it back. They streamlined a few of the mechanics to make them simpler, but then added a flood of other ones. So the rinse and repeat of combat took a long time. I remember finishing combat and just being relieved, like, oh, it's over. Like, instead of being excited, yeah, get some. It'd be like if you were at the dentist's office waiting for an hour or two, and your name finally gets called, and you're not thinking to yourself, woo, yeah! It's more like, finally. That ended up hurting the role-playing and narration. Instead of a player saying, I offer up a vengeful prayer to my god, which dispels the warlock's hex, we just say, okay, this thing gives him a -2, and this thing gives him a +2, so that we just say they cancel. We just boil things down to their numbers. Instead of blessings of Keratos be upon you, it'd be, that's a 6. It's just a +6, just a 6. Just take your 6. If Dylan did start narrating, we'd be like, we ain't got time for that. Get your monologue out of here, Dave. You're in a line. There's 25 other things that need to resolve before your turn ends. And even if you did start narrating and describing your powers, crashing irons of 1,000 memories. Initially, it sounds really cool, but by like the 37th time you used your power, just be like, 15 to hit. That's a hit. That's 2d6 damage, and he's done for 1 round. Or you'd have some power that sounded pretty cool, like summon your shadow to stab some guy in the back for 3 points of damage. But the system was pretty rigid. It's not like you had like a shadow familiar. You had a power which said that you could use your shadow to stab someone in the back for 3 points of damage. And that was it. Which, to be honest, spells in D&D do have that kind of problem where they're too specific sometimes. Occasionally, a system will have it written, you have a shadow and can use it to do a variety of things, yada yada yada, one of which includes stabbing someone in the back for 3 points damage, which allows for variety. But this system, this was not like that. If you had a variety of powers, you think, ooh, that's a lot of choice. Really, that's not how it turned out. You would just start from your most powerful ability and just go down the list to the weakest, and then whenever they came off cooldown, you just rinse and repeat. Just because each time you can only use it once. Which meant that in a fight, you'd use powers A, B, and C. Sometimes you'd use BAC or CBA. Ooh. But it always had to be a combination of those 3, and you could only use them once. The only other strategy was like, don't target the 1 hit point minions with your heavy spells. Save that for the boss. But that was kind of it. There was some strategy with positioning, like, if this enemy has a flame aura, who's going to stand next to him? Not the wizard. That was it. Now you know all you need to succeed in 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons combat. Congratulations. The biggest challenge was always remembering the rules of the game anyway. We had these 2-hour-long slug tests that we had to wade through, sometimes up to 3 to 4 hours. There was one time I was away going to a job interview. I came back halfway through. Still with my work suit on, I enter in, up the top of the stairs. And this is what I come in to see. One of the players is sleeping, snoring loudly. Another player has his 3DS out and is playing a game. One person is on her phone. Another player is trying to stay awake, but his arms are folded. Head is down, but I know he's sleeping. The DM is rolling through all the effects, writing down notes.
Where'd he go?
Okay, this is this. X effect is over. He saves against the poison. There's a -1 still on him. The mark condition is down. Zod, it's your turn. Ah. The sleeping guy wakes up. Okay. He picks up his dice. He rolls. 14. That's a miss. Okay. And he goes back to sleep. The DM finally notices that I'm there. He's too busy with combat and says, hey guys, Ben's here. Yay. They gave an anemic hello. And I had this realization, this is what we look like. I came here voluntarily. Like, I didn't have to come here. This was my Saturday. We play from noon to midnight. Like, I can't believe I don't have other stuff to do. I was unemployed at the time and didn't actually have better things to do. I didn't even get into the fact that the monsters also have abilities as well, coming on and off cooldowns. With a lot of enemies, their big selling point is that they can take hits to really sell the player's abilities and powers. So giving monsters a bunch of powers does not make the PCs feel any more heroic. If a player has a power that lets them knock an enemy into the air and throw 10 daggers into their chest, they feel pretty cool. But if all the enemies have that stuff, it doesn't.
You hear about the codex, the new codex have for the Space Wolves they have. So apparently, Space Wolves are going to be a competitive squad, a competitive army in this edition.
Oh, it's not like they never were. It's only because of the unlucky rolls. And everyone just says, play this army because the book makes it sound broke off the bat.
So, and they put it now that they actually get a more, I guess, better rolling now?
Yeah, I mean better rolling.
Oh no, like I didn't pay. I zoned out on that part.
Literally, what people consider competitive is really stupid. What's considered competitive? Look, they got this tier in the tournament. Yay, this one guy got to the tournament by luck.
Well, I think so. A lot of people, I don't know what the name was, but as it states, like, okay, you have a. So pretty how it works is it's pretty much they get like a bonus when they attack, or like when they charge.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
Okay, what did they have in this edition?
I can do heroic intervention.
What does that mean?
Heroic intervention is a command point ability now, but it used to be a hero character. Oh, you charge my unit. Oh, I have a hero near it. Jump in, a character. Everyone in Space Marine can do that.
Okay, so I think in 9th edition it's not a command point ability. It's just an ability.
No, the heroic intervention is not a command ability.
You just said it was command point.
Yeah, for the new edition, that's what I mean.
Oh no, the previous the guys that said like when they do a charge, you get +1 inch and +1 attack. That's what the guy stated. I'm not 100% accurate because I wasn't remembering.
You.
What?
I'm hard.
I played as a cleric. We had a power called Healing Word, which would heal.
Because most people try to talk about other codex, which is real. Other people say, I'm like, I actually play this army.
Plus a d6 twice per encounter.
Yeah, but one thing you gotta take into consideration is mainly the main thing is you gotta remember memory is not actually 100% accurate. Any memory.
And considering I actually took the core book for them and did this. That's a shame.
Yeah, but like I said, man, it's you gotta remember. You say, let's say you played since first ed, right? You probably, chances are, according to science, chances are you will probably remember something that didn't even exist.
All defenders would have abilities involving marking.
I have the computer right on my phone.
What?
Yeah, the pseudo codex released by GW is on my phone.
Yeah, but like I said, like you probably remember something that wasn't in there, and you go look it up, you can't find it. Because he said it does exist, but that's only in your head, not in real life.
You know, in 5th edition, we're kind of not present in 4th edition. I mean, technically they did have utility abilities, but when I say utility, I mean is that they were
people tell you, they tell you that's the natural phenomenon they actually have.
They had rituals, which would cost 10 minutes to cast and would cost gold pieces. I remember those spells being too expensive to afford. One time in an emergency, we had to pool our gold together in order to cast Tensor's floating disc once during an emergency. But since they were costly, we tended to save our money and to save them up for other magic items. That Tensor's disc.
I probably just like, what I probably want to do tomorrow is go dump a bunch of magic cards and pre-order the book. So,
which book?
the new Space Marine bullshit. I know they said Rick is gonna have a bunch of them on the Disney launch. So,
I don't know.
no, Dana said. Dana said they had like a good chunk of it, like.
It doesn't help that for a lot of people who have the special army books,
Yeah.
don't get released a little later. But the main book, they're like, oh, if you play this army, we made FAQ for you guys. Also, your main chapter rules are in here. And we will make a successor to them.
Yeah.
Which is odd to hear for Space Wolves.
Oh boy! There are a few problems with this. One, you had to declare this at the beginning during character creation.
The backpack. Okay.
Now I'm a hybrid. Two, it had to be exactly 50-50. If you were 10th level, 5 were in one class, 5 were in the other. And each time you leveled up, you picked
Actually, now let me try to get them all the Predator scanner.
from the other. Back and forth. 3, it was a supplement. You had to go out and buy a secondary rulebook, give the special hybrid.
Like I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah,
this is 24.
4, you could only hybrid 2 classes, no more. Not 3, not 4.
I jumped this one versus this one.
The system was so restrictive. It was not like multi-classing at all. Besides, why would you? The classes were not designed to synergize with other classes. If you have a secondary class, you have to jump ranks into making you terrible at both. So it's like they bring out this rule set and then punish you for using it. Then we had skill challenges.
Great background noise. Thanks. We're watching on Puffin Force, right?
And who has come to us?
Carbra. I don't know. I'm not going to butcher
Wait,
that.
Carbolet?
Yeah.
Hi, Hello there, motherfucker. I know who you are.
I think you should run? Who is that?
We both know who he is. He just became Papa.
Clay?
Yeah, I don't use his real name only for good reasons.
Well, we can use his real name. We just can't use his last name. And B, let's be honest. There's gotta be someone else in the world named fucking Clay. Okay, this guy puts his name as Jesus Christ. Then like, this is the greatest. I think he's trying to pick a fight now. I'm 95% sure now.
Yes, he is.
You
think he's trying to pick a fight now?
What would happen? You pull up the skill challenge, go, yeah, we're not doing that, and then completely ignore it. That was how a lot of people did skill challenges. It'd be like if you were playing a choose your own.
How you doing today? How you doing tonight, Clay? You goofing off good, pretty good, man?
Page 70. Or the players take cannonballs and use them to dam up the river so they can walk across.
Yeah, what is this idea?
The odds that the players would say
What the fuck?
Oh, it has a augury scanner or a radio system. I thought combined them both to make them like badass incursion units.
It looked like a goddamn tech priest. I'm like, they're too barbaric for tech priests.
These are for any army.
I know, but I'm an asshole, so fuck off.
Yeah.
Right, I want to talk on the tortured by my wife.
Dude, there's a simple thing called that. It's called a tranquilizer. Look into it. It's a great invention. It helps me out a lot.
There's secret floorboards where there's skeletons hidden. Good thing you rolled thievery, because you wouldn't have been able to find them. You didn't roll the thievery.
Sounds like a dick move.
Perception that would have just let you notice the paintings on the wall. Also, you had to stay in initiative while doing the skill challenges. So the characters would go up and talk to the king. I start talking because I'm the rogue, because my initiative is the highest, and their paladin goes, etc. Like, that's not how conversations work.
Yes, it does.
Or sometimes you figure out a thing, and it's like, can someone make a history check on this guy? I would, but I'm the wizard, and I'm going at the end of the skill challenge.
God.
The problem is, there was so much I didn't like with the game that I couldn't homebrew it to fix the problems. It's one thing to change lore.
Okay, no, it looks better.
It's another thing to change one or two mechanics. Tricky, but a bit more
Yeah.
doable.
What about that shoulder pad?
What?
What about the shoulder pad?
It's supposed to be connected to the power pack recently where the antenna goes. I feel like giving them both because
Some of it is a pain.
Really, none of my complaints that I have.
that little block goes in the backpack. But I took that slot up, so now I'm just trying to make it look like it works.
Okay, 22.
And I've played in games with heavy combat. That's not a problem. And the fact that combat can kind of get repetitive and...
So, man, how you doing?
Yeah, Clay, you still with us, or are you just going to bend and ship like everybody else does? Because Titanic's going down. I thought funny, fuck off.
Oh, he can come Thursday. We have to continue the game.
That's not a problem.
What Dakota? Where's Dakota at?
He's back.
Got two's back again. Shady's back. I gotta shit my pants. Wait a sec.
Wait, yo,
Wait a sec. Wife wants to know what you're doing.
Trying to explain. We are building Warhammer 40k minis. Because pretty much we're trying to build the Warhammer 40ks. We have the Andromeda set and the Space Wolves versus Orcs thing. As of right now, we are building the Space Marines from both armies.
Yep.
And we just thought we'd do a stream to it because we were just see if anyone would come join us. Come join us for a chat or something because we had nothing else planned.
Yeah.
Okay, well now I got get this part off before it dries.
Which is it's really great. It's a war game set in the future, and there's nothing but war.
It's not like a boner for me, but whatever. Okay, so we're gonna cut this off.
Which she can know this. It is Meme Central.
Especially when you see like half the crap, all the pictures I found for it, which is gonna be a future video, by the way.
Oh, Meme Central even for the game. Are you a Smurf? Are you a angry Templar? Are you a Fister?
Are you a guy who obsessed with dragons too much? Are you a guy who believes in bestiality and wants to be a furry? That's Space Wolves, by the way.
Space Wolves are drunken werewolves.
Yeah, but let's be
Or a
honest.
sparkly vampire.
Okay. Fuck yourself on that part.
What? Sparkly vampire?
We do not talk about Twilight here.
But those are blood angels.
No, Blood Angels and Twilight are two different things. If people don't know what Blood Angel is, probably because they were talking about Twilight. And that's the thing I need to do with a bunch of Homo sapien a-holes coming up here trying to start shit because I talked trash about Twilight.
Did Clay type anything?
Clay, did you type anything? No? Okay, not yet. He probably gonna send me the flip off emoji. Like, fuck you. I got $5 saying Clay's gonna get yelled at tonight once it's in. It's like, who the hell is that George dude?
This is the guy also helped her fix the Xbox.
Yeah, but she's just gonna be angry about it because like you guys told me that she has a judgmental issue or something. I don't know. Or something. I can't remember. I'm too stupid to pay attention.
Is he still watching us?
I don't know. Are you still watching us, Clay? Is your wife getting divorce papers at the moment?
As he explained to me, there will be no divorce papers involved. It would be...
He's probably going to send you a text like, tell George to shut the fuck up. I can bet money on that part at this point in our lives.
Yeah, that looks cool. I'll just scan her down. So that goes right here.
What do you say?
That goes over here.
You call it, she asked who the fuck George is. Hey! We did something. We predicted the future.
Oh, by the way, I had to read him Jeff's book. The little synopsis.
Yeah, I need a good bedtime story.
Do you want to say anything to him about it? I say he'll like it.
I say we'll be like Michael Jackson in a second. Be like this window grabbing our crotch.
This game is fine, as long as the combat's fun. But it's not. You know, it's funny, I wrote in the script like, Puffin talks about growth and my memory's blank. This will be fun. And I pulled out the book and I started reading through it. I really did not want to give this game a negative video because I feel that it got a lot of hate when it came out. There was a lot of divisiveness whenever people hate or love a thing, and it creates factions. I didn't want to feed into that.
Who said that? It was you who said that, right?
Wanted to talk about my
How
game, but
to describe George? I don't think a Bible could fucking describe me, dude.
He must be experienced in person.
And hopefully it's a good experience.
Give him carnage, he'd be happy.
No. Let's make it. You tell your, put it like this, Clay. If you ever tell your wife to come meet me, tell her you gotta meet him on a good day because he's known for being brutally honest and doesn't care about your feelings.
A kitty will help break the ice.
Or a 12 gauge, whatever comes first.
I said kid because you're a cat person.
I love cats. Give him my mouse prom, and that's probably the only pussy I'll get in my life.
I'm like, oh God, no, please, God, no. Let me be clear. I've played a few games of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It has borrowed a few mechanics from D&D 4e, same as 5th Edition, but they're still very...
We probably should just tell Jeff, like, yeah, Clay's wife's going to just come kick George's ass, or attempt to at least.
Oh no, that's when it's get the beer!
Why?
And the magic items.
Oh! Clay's talking to us, and guess what the best question tonight is?
What?
How to describe George?
His wife is asking.
Oh! Dude, I think he just busted a nut.
Oh God!
I'm talking about you.
It's just that question. That's a.
I said he must be experienced in person.
Wife offering Uni as tribute. Here's Una.
His kitty.
His cat?
He's a black cat.
Is a black cat?
Yeah, a
and
kitty.
it's not Friday the 13th. I'm insulted here.
It's a cute black cat.
Yeah, but it's not Friday the fucking 13th.
You don't. Well, actually, you do like cats.
Yes, I love cats. Because we've done it. Every
She doesn't
fucking
like her.
Wait a second. Every fucking dog in the world hates my ass, apparently.
Lily!
But okay, I said dog, not rat that looks like a chihuahua.
Anyway, how to describe Troy?
I don't think there's a way you can do it. Okay, emojis couldn't even do that.
Unstable, unpredictable.
Yeah, like I said, not even emojis could do that for you, dude.
Well, those are the two best things I can think of. What
two?
about you, brother?
Must be experienced in person.
I'm probably afraid to take two. I'm afraid to take with you on a date and just be like, just because he's
make a
supposed to.
joke and call him. He's a people person.
What kind of people is my question?
You don't take stupidity lightly.
Clay's probably watching this right now and like, this George guy sounds like a complete dick. And I am. I will not hide it. I am brutally honest about that. Remember how most guys hit on girls at the bar. Hey, baby, how I hit on a girl at the bar. Mike Tyson punch out.
No, that's just saggy.
Saggy.
This portion here, this would need to be replaced.
Okay.
Is this your only RPG? Like, you just play with
I forgot what I was doing now. Fuck it.
I don't know. You're building chainsaw.
I was building this shit. Okay, cool. Got it. You figured it out.
He remembers.
Okay, wife, rolling eyes. Okay, is it on the side or the back of her head? Because if it's going towards the back of her head, they just run. Because like at that point, Satan's around and he owes me money.
Not good. Some mechanics I didn't like. I ported over as well, but whatever. But anyway, I still like it. That's cool. So my memories.
Okay. Oh, okay, I'm stupid. Fuck it. Anyway. Oh man.
But
You guys got a lot built.
Well, he got a lot built, but he just like train wrecked the shit.
How so?
Well, train wreck or kid back or need a P-R-I-S-T. What the fuck is that?
P-R-I-S-T.
Yeah.
Priest.
Need a priest? Fuck that.
Oh, I don't have my cross. I don't have my sanctum. My
Dude,
holy water.
Your cross burns you. What are you
Dude,
talking
reflective.
about?
Why don't you show you how defective religion is? Jeff, go give me one holy artifact that you're not afraid of me touching.
Get the cross from the holy sanctum when Jesus Christ was fucking crucified. Yes, we have a cross that has that stuff in it.
Okay, cool.
Here's bits.
Yeah, but you already got it done? Fuck, is that all of them?
Marines, yes.
I quit my life, man.
The bosses leave for the characters.
I thought there was more to it for the Marines.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
The Goblin managed to parry all the players' attacks and down 2 of the PCs.
I'm not bursting in flames. And this is the only thing. I can probably do all this other stuff to it. Like put that back. Get that back for me now.
No, where's I grabbed it actually on the side? We.
Oh,
I knew it.
Someone's texting me. I wonder who it is.
Play.
No, it's my friend won a lot.
I just rolled really well. But yeah, he really does have a swashbuckling hat on right now.
Alright. What do you want me to build next?
Okay, probably just grab the motorcycles.
Come back and die in return over.
At that point, that's the last bit I need, and then we can call it there.
And thousands of years of history were stained with blood from his deepest machinations.
What?
Pregnant.
What's pregnant? The bikers?
Look at the bite compared to the regular one.
You got a point there. I can't
No, it's made
remember.
for a bigger marine.
It's more, we also should put speakers on it so we can blast Slayer. And if you say Slayer's bad, I will hunt you down and murder you.
Only if you believe in a certain chaos god.
Corn.
Slanesh.
Well, fuckmylife.com.
It causes pain.
You sure about that?
Oh, and I also think it's an excess.
Yeah.
Corn don't believe in excess.
You sure about that? I have excess and people say I'm crazy. No, you don't feel uncomfortable. You feel okay with my blood.
And usually, Slanesh loves them. They have noise marines.
Yeah.
They use sound. That's where the rock music would go.
Born to be a pedophile. I don't know.
When the players decide to fight him, he got them.
I have no censor. I have no cares.
No, he doesn't, and no the hell.
Their search led them to their elderly portal friend.
Uruguay, help us!
Information about him.
Well, I think we're gonna sit down.
Help us! Hillary Clinton's running for president.
We're just going to be calling you Uruguay. My name is not
Uruguay?
Hey, you can't. Hey, you should be Uruguay, man. Okay, Kung Fu Fan was a great movie. Anyone tell me that I'm wrong, I will fight you in the parking lot at Chick-fil-A.
Only on a Sunday?
Only on a Sunday.
That's the best time. That's the best time to protest Chick-fil-A.
What are you talking about? I protest them.
Oh, on a Sunday.
I protest them every time. What are you talking about? I protest them every time I walk in. Let God, have a God blessed day. Get the hell out of my sight, lady.
If the only wasn't if the only location was only at the mall.
What are you talking about? They got one on Madison Street.
Madison Street, Hawkinsville.
prevent him from coming back once and for all. The campaign was to recover.
Yes, I know where that place is located, because fuck it, their shit is awesome.
Well, the what shit is awesome? Grenades.
The Holy Hand Grenade, all bow down to thee.
Let's be honest.
Yes, there's one in Sango.
Yeah. Well, put it like this. Do what? Remember, if I return to the army, do I always want to put on all my grenades? Shit happens. So that'd be the best thing to tell your God before you explode into a bunch of confetti. What? No, that'd be the first thing you can tell your Messiah when you blow up. What happens? Shit happens. Like I thought, me and my old coworker before Campbell thought we were gonna make talking grenades, right? And when you threw it, it blew right before it blew up. It said, I had 99 problems, but you ain't one.
It can't be as good as a Starship Trooper grenade. This is a grenade. This is a grenade in every known goddamn language.
I just got an email from freaking YouTube.
Uh-oh. Who reported you?
Oh no. I probably just got the calm down on your tone. You sound offensive. No shit. Let's see what it says, because I am now kind of curious.
They try to get copyright. We were telling people we're watching shit online.
Yeah, I was going to put a link in the description for them too.
You gotta get the whole thing though. Probably you have to get checked out.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay.
Right here.
What? What is it?
Maybe it's me. No, it's me. I'll fight you for it. But anyway, okay. This is what they just emailed me. Okay, you ready? Are you? This has just been posted 2 minutes ago, by the way. Okay, on my email. Your channel is now live.
Where'd you get it from? Did you have to go off on an epic quest?
I'm pretty sure.
Round 1 star.
It's not even.
Okay, cool. I don't care.
Why didn't I think of just being there, just giving them out to people, just handing them out to everyone? My name's Greg.
My name is Greg.
We went to
What the
high
heck?
school together. How long have you been in here?
Too damn long.
1,000 years or so. You know, I was put in here and guess
Round 1 star.
don't
Okay.
need a magic glaive.
I don't know.
We flashed back
What
to the
about
years
stars?
before
I don't know. He's
Master
he's talking shit now.
It's his eye, Marathon glaive.
Clay?
Oh,
Yep.
never mind. I guess you guys
Clay has the almighty problem of whip.
That's fine. Marathon here. Do you need me for an adventure? No. Oh, okay.
What?
I'm just gonna be hanging out here.
If you think I have a censor button, I am disappointed in you.
No, I don't think. I know you don't have a censor button.
Da-na-na-na.
And this reason me and this guy who's off camera is going to get into a fight one day. We're going to just offend each other, then it's going to go from a joke to a boxing contest. Then you know what's going to call Mike Tyson just going to knock us both the
No,
fuck
no, it's
out.
gonna go from boxing match to a death bout, then to I'm taking on bets, you have to get on bets, taking on bets, the doctor not here, the skinny shot is doctor dad.
Then when we break out the gut amount, he's going to get the water hose and spray us like dogs. Calm the fuck down!
Probably worse. We'll get you somewhere. You just come to the fire and just twink, twink.
Or he probably just gonna go get. He's gonna call his military buddies up like, "Hey, I need an assault rifle. Loaded with what? Tranquilizers. There's too much. There's too much. What's that male hormone again? I forget.
Testosterone.
Yeah, there's too much testosterone in my house, and I need to wipe it out fast. I need it to be like rain. The bug repellent. I mean the bug killer. Yeah, that's what Johan's gonna describe it. I need it like that. I need it. That's what I'm
Oh,
gonna.
well, you guys wondering why are you opening the windows? Oh, I called friends, Dad.
Well, we can't. Well, it can't be Windows. You know why? We can't ask you that question, Johan. Of course, two people trying to beat the shit out of each other.
There must be balance in all things.
Why?
Boredom, bitch.
Principles.
Boredom.
Unshakable, immovable code.
You're so drilling,
Except when I
George.
don't.
What?
You're so drilling.
Yeah.
Unless I decide that I'm bored with them, or when there's a really, really hilariously appropriate moment breakup comes out.
Also, the two weapons didn't really get along. Hello, pleasure making your acquaintance, Mortley. I am Barathorn. Are you ready to engage in
No
honorable
one
battle
wants
against
my
worthy
short sword
opponents?
ever.
Hmm.
You're the most annoying person and out annoying the annoying person.
What is it?
Oh, you know when I get Sailor Uranus' lustrous one?
Oh God.
It was
Alright.
a really, really bitchy sword
Think I can be put into a different batch from
who
the
had the powers of taking you over because it had an intelligence and it had these smart stats in the sub-30s.
Okay. What the hell did the kid say? Laser, taser, taser.
Like Malachar was performing some kind
Oh, he's trying to talk about shocking us. Okay. Fuck this shit.
of the world. I warned you.
Taser.
No, that one's. Oh, okay, that's the okay, thank you, Jeff, for making me feel dumb. I feel happy now.
That's alright.
We saying you're fun. I said I feel happy. You want to apologize for that?
Exactly. I didn't want you to feel happy. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, now I see why California abandoned you.
Yeah, let's get started with the shit talking.
What are you talking about? I know a lot of people take that as a compliment. Fuck off.
Hey, I'm really not upset about that one.
He's at least one of the 6 million that left the state.
Well, let's be honest. He had no choice. It's like, hey, you're in the army now. You're our bitch. Move out.
No, I'm in Texas.
I was in Texas when I enlisted.
Okay, well, you say you originally were, your father was originally a sperm donor in California, so. Then you went to Texas where you.
Actually, I lived in Alaska in between that time, so.
Okay, so you went from a paradise of hell to an Arctic hell to the best goddamn place in the United States at the moment.
And now I'm here.
Oh God, no! I got a better one. You want to hear it? So this is what happened to him. Want to hear it?
Okay, let's go.
He went from hell to purgatory to heaven.
No, that's like the only time I cannot argue with. What are you trying to say, Alan?
Can I have the? Can I be at least state resident of Alaska? You know what they get?
What?
A couple thousand a year.
Oh, well, hell, man. Do I want to do it? Do I want to do it for Alaska?
That's all, the only exception was if you were in the army and you can't make it. Just go.
Balance.
By the way, there's one reason I want to go to Alaska. Do what it is now? Because that one fucking anime you watched had the boxer guy, the Muhammad Ali punched the bear. Now I'm like, oh, let's try this now. You died. Worth it.
That's E for the fighting.
No, Jeff. He wants to do that to an Alaskan grizzly.
You know what? Go for it.
I would go with the camera as far to gun rack like, Jeff, I'm recording this. This is awesome.
Yeah, man.
We're on to the island of Kodiak. Why not? Fuck it. Let's go.
You got
Kodiak grizzly.
So you got a bear sniper rifle ready?
You got a camera sniper rifle ready?
Bitch, no. Just record that camera. I want to enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Hand me the bigger bitch.
How?
They managed to destroy the circle.
What Clay's thinking about our dog right now?
Clay's probably just looking at the screen trying to explain to his wife, yes, George is doing that job. Yes.
No. He's probably more like, God, I wish I was there right now.
Let's be honest, Clay's probably going to tell his wife, do the best part about George is, what? If he ever gives us problems, we have someone get rid of it. Let's be honest, if you guys ever have someone inside your house and like, hey, he has a gun, can you come take care of it? Yeah. Come over, you guys hear someone who screamed bloody murder, come knock on the door, he's gone.
No, this would mean Jeff's moment. It'd be like, oh, we saw some buggers last night. Hey, by the way, George, want some barbecue?
Are we talking about, what's the meat?
Dumbass.
Okay, I need to practice my cannibalistic right. I need to practice being African American. No, that one irritates me. There's a lot. No, that's the problem. If you have to do like the ancestry tree on African Americans, there's a slim chance that you are not a part of a cannibalistic tribe from Africa. That's an extremely slim chance.
Honestly, didn't expect to actually happen.
So if you do, cool. If you
You want something really badly and try to have that thing.
like, that's also the same reason I tell people like everybody who's like does like they're African American. They're always like, do you know how I like to be African American? What do you mean I practice cannibalism? Do you?
Worked on Starbucks kiosk, and the guy who was supposed to be taking his next shift wasn't showing up, so he kept getting delayed later and later, and the players were messaging him out in the fight going, "We lost the campaign because of you. Why couldn't you be there? One hit. He just needed one hit." Without the power of the
Yeah.
They actually can crush him.
that pocket dimension pops.
So the probably will go to eat more rounds.
Scattering through the multiverse.
Taka.
His pigs actually do that.
Let's just get her buddy.
I don't know if Clay's still here or not. He said we just lost a viewer. So what I'm guessing is Clay's probably his wife just told him, get the fuck off before I go over there and try and beat up this George guy. Clay, if you're still alive, say if he types that, I'm just gonna go fucking through that window.
Like the Garden of Eden, a world before the corruption of man.
This is pretty much the chat box over here.
I know, I'm just looking at his.
He's just waiting for that response.
Yeah. So let's type.
No.
With no disease or sickness.
Oh no, it's not.
Come here.
Went to Yizgard, the realm of immortal heroes.
You also gotta make might be there for a minute because this is actually a couple seconds behind. So.
Oh,
They
okay.
ended up in some pretty
That's
nice
fun.
places, considering that the table also has stuff like Pandemonium, Hades, or Then
9 hells.
Paradise.
How the players manage to save their world by ending the
That's a fun
ritual,
place.
or split up between the multiverse to each of the different planes.
Like Valhalla.
Back in the material plane,
Whoa!
the only one to return from his mission.
Let's be honest.
What is a little 20
You know what the bad part is?
What?
I was looking up like old gameplay of Soul Calibur 2 for the PS2. I remember the character Berserk they had, the Ass Rock ripoff. Do what I just remember about that character? Well, every time you play him, like he comes on the battlefield, he always like he said, "Pussy." Like, is he saying that, or am I just going crazy?
No, I was playing Siegfried at that time.
Well, Siegfried and Nightmare are the same character.
I was playing Siegfried.
Yeah.
I was wrecking houses.
Yeah, but you remember that? Like when he was just entering the battlefield, he always went pussy for some fucking reason?
Oh yeah, right. He ended up in another dimension as well.
No, it wasn't Rock. Remember, Rock wasn't into.
I don't know. Just
He was,
give me a second.
so
Roll for him.
there were 3 characters that were secret mission logs. Berserker was the first one. Berserker was the first one you got.
As Malachar wakes up in
Oh,
a
there's
strange
his mom.
place with no magic and low health.
Yeah.
He staggers upright and wanders into a
Which one?
tavern and says, "I am the dark wizard
You know
Malachar.
what Lizard would give you like 80
all my
stays in
slaves
Soul
now
Calibur 2.
under my
What?
whim.
Bring you out from the center.
You will all be used for the purposes
Oh yeah,
of
that's right. Because you just pretty much just
And he casts
kicks
a
him on
spell
the
head, but you're gone.
yeah.
You just stop rolling.
He finally
Do what we always thought was a fun game to do, me and my brother?
Hmm.
So in Soul Calibur 2, you can set your character infinite life.
he realizes
So what you would have done is you send it to him, you just set your character infinite life. Then pick a ring that had a cage, but had ring damage, right? So you would just really fight each other, and you had to really die by stage damage because infinite life only works against your attack.
This is like the one stage where it was Cajun, where you first killed.
No, it's just pure. It's like one of those maps where you had to. The map we had was like you had the stage, then had a ring of fire on the outside, and then a cage. So what you would do is you would have fought in that mode. Then when I would say, so pretty much it had a limited time and everything. So pretty much the match only ended if you kept your opponent in the lava.
In Soul Calibur 2, Siegfried forgets you.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest.
That shit was the hardest feat to pull off.
Well, remember, you know that character Talum? Talum was incredibly broken. She actually had a infinite combo he could have pulled off. It was just 4 attacks. That's how fucked up it was.
I didn't play Talon that much.
Yeah, well, the problem is, like, it's a combo that if you could, it's a combo that you can get out of, but if your opponent wasn't expecting it, it's pretty much like, okay, cool, I got the first match, second match, killed you with this.
The lead off was
What?
a horizontal, was a vertical.
Yeah.
Before, he did play with us once or twice in a Star Wars game, but he spent most of the session spiraling through the void in a useless disabled ship.
I like Soul Calibur 3 when it came for the PS2. Do you know why? Because you know that character from Xenosaga, Cosmos?
Cosmos?
Yeah. You know that character?
Yeah.
You can actually make her in Soul Calibur 3.
And then do we cut back to us?
Because you had her armor, you had her armor pieces.
In a row.
Yeah, well, you had armor pieces that looked like hers that you can just replace with.
Soul Calibur 3, I used only custom made characters.
Yeah. Which my brother was struck when Soul Calibur 4 came out. Because in Soul Calibur 3, there was a character you know called Amy, who was Raphael's daughter. 4 comes.
Amy's a chick.
Yeah, but so what happened was, Amy was just one of those characters that was supposed to be like a side character that really wasn't supposed to be in the game. So she pretty much, Amy was supposed to be like Berserker, Lizardman, and whoever the other character was from Soul Calibur 2. So that was the whole point. But then it was like, okay, cool, Soul Calibur 4 comes out. We gotta get Amy. You can only like Amy. When I played Amy, I told my brother, yeah, there's this new character named Amy. My brother's like, yeah. But the thing was that Amy, like, I told my brother, like, yeah, there's this character named Amy. You know anything? I thought she was pretty cool. Like, she was in Soul Calibur 3. I'm like, what do you mean she's in Soul Calibur 3? I didn't see her.
She was an unlockable.
Yeah, that's why I never saw her, because I was just incredibly dumb.
I unlocked her.
Yeah.
I used her.
Well, you gotta think it's crazy. At the time when that game came out, I had no, I didn't have a PS2 at the time, so I couldn't play the game.
I had an original PS2.
That was a PS2.
Yes, I love it.
Well, PS2 at the time. So when it came out, I think Soul Calibur 3 I got for the 360 because I wanted Yoda.
Yoda was annoying to play.
You're not chaotic
Yeah, Yoda's pretty much the only character in the whole goddamn
You
game.
couldn't do a high, anything high against Yoda.
You couldn't even grab Yoda.
No, this was worse. The Apprentice.
Well, the Apprentice wasn't all that bad. Like Astaroth.
Oh, the Apprentice. If the Apprentice had did any form of crackback, you would have gone.
Yeah.
The system specializes in superheroes, and there's other ones out there if you're interested.
But when it came to it, was like he wasn't all that powerful. Because let's take consideration, I beat the Apprentice a lot.
I had to go 6-7 rounds just to beat him.
Oh no, the bad part about it is when you play someone online with that use The Apprentice. You know why? Because his online mode, because people that actually play The Apprentice were more broken than the hardcore version, than the hard mode on the AI.
I didn't have problems with Yoda because my attack started low and ended high.
Yeah,
I still hit him.
Yeah, but the problem is so pyramid characters what people had a problem when it came to Yoda was that Yoda was pretty much a character like, oh look, you have a character with you got a character with this, that, and everything. Yoda's pretty much going to counteract this character. But pretty much, the only way to beat Yoda at the time was a character that had an attack for like this, or a heavy damage character, because let's be honest, Yoda will just jump into it and get whacked.
That sends out syringes filled with antidote that heal people. That would be healing plus area plus ranged. If you want to be Sonic the Hedgehog rolling around on the battlefield,
That was the thing about Yoda. People didn't understand that Yoda was not a powerful character because the only problem was characters that relied on a character being on the ground or like normal size. That was Yoda was meant to go against. So Yoda was really supposed to be like an encouragement to play like Astaroth. But you see how that turned out. So when Astaroth comes, so when you went online and someone played Yoda, you pretty much had someone who was incredibly flexible. You couldn't grab, you couldn't reverse, and had like combos out the fucking ass.
I just did heavy damage with 6-3.
Yeah. So pretty much, if you were trying to do something fancy, Yoda was not the good idea to do that.
Oh, but he did but he does like 50 as uppercuts.
Yeah. Well, like the two.
You want to go flying, Yoda?
Well, like when it came to like the whole thing, like so, Apprentice was probably when it came to the new characters. The Apprentice is probably your best. The Apprentice is probably your best character to use against Yoda because his attacks were his force abilities were made for that attack. Was made for something like Yoda.
Walking the player through decision trees to figure out what kind of specializations they want, giving them groups of abilities, which is completely optional, but it's a hand-holding tool so that players don't get lost. I've had a lot of crazy characters from superhero games. Usually players try to stick to an archetype they like. One group I ran for is made up of Spider-Man, Luke Cage, and the Full Metal Alchemist.
I think Clay left us.
Final Fantasy game
was rip for Clay. No, Clay left. I probably have seen his wife because I breathe air.
It took place on an Earth where Ultron had won against the Avengers, took over and established his reign. So the world was now run by a tyrannical AI dictatorship.
Oh man.
The player rundown for this one was one more exosuit.
I had all of yours.
What?
Also, I had to remake reference for 6.
Yeah. Do you want to know the funny thing though? When it comes to Full Caliber though, when it came to like a damage character, Darth Vader was fucking broken.
Yeah.
You know what made it worse?
You didn't deal with my damage.
No, the problem with Darth Vader was. So you know how when you like Darth Vader did that one move where he grabbed someone and just pushed him back.
Yeah.
The way you would have done is, if you press a certain combination while he was doing that, you would have one of two outcomes. You would either have the force choke or the force toss.
Alright, thank you for throwing me out there. I like medium range.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, he had to grab you, then you had to either do a force choke or a force toss.
I've changed my mind. I own it now, which made for a really weird scene because all the players didn't know he was doing this.
Do I gotta get another base out?
They go to his headquarters, which turns out to be this massive underground complex with people and a security force, and he shows off all of his equipment. They're riding his horizontal elevator through it. That's giving them a tour. Here's the hangars, here's the cafeteria, here's the time manipulator.
Can you build the Justicar?
The what? Oh,
The Justicar?
It lets me speed
Damn.
Oh, by the way, time works differently in
What's
here.
up?
I didn't say that earlier.
The guy's still learning the sword.
Where did you get it from?
Okay.
It's a badass gnarly. You had to send 2 squads to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Because there's 1 squad that goes last.
Okay, so
That's
what's
9.
well, it's past 9. Getting close to the Disney Go. How many more bikes do you got?
1.
Okay, so if you build the bike, we can just end it after you build this part. You have me build this last guy. So, what do you do there? Call it, then call it night. Then go home. Then go spank the monkey or something. I don't know.
So with his newfound organization, the character went from being a super soldier to Nick Fury. You think you're the only superhero in the world? I'm not a superhero. Welcome to the team. He even bought his own airship, which I didn't let him use in the beginning because the ship was out of commission. Because what I had said was that he had dropped his keys to them in the crash.
I give him credit for that keys one. I'm not gonna lie.
You know how sometimes you drop the card or the keys in the crack by the door, and you try and pull them out with your fingers, and every time you reach in and pull them out, you just can't push them farther than the crack, and you just can't get a good grip on them, and you can't use your airship because the keys are stuck in the crack. It's kind of like that. And then we had my brother. You want to know what character he wanted to play? Me too. Because every time I asked him, hey Will, what do you want to play? He's like, no. I can make a character for you, just give me an idea. What do you want? I don't know. I kept asking him and he wouldn't give me
Next time Clay asks how to explain it, just tell him George is offensive towards women. And if she asks why, like, you do not want that list.
Realization. Wait a second. If I get to make up his character, that means that whatever I make up, he has to play. I can use this opportunity to completely mess with him. Then I went about making up the DC for him to play, just as any good little brother would do, looking out for his older brother. This was not the first time something like this had happened. Before, when I was playing Star Wars, I made up a character for another player who was a
If your shooting weapon is smarter than you, it can take you over.
I started filling his bag with just brand new. Mid-mission, he was digging around his bag, and he pulled out a massive...
I wonder why people, when I start running again, people have high intelligence. I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, so you know how so we you know how we have the you have the Titans, you have the cockpits you can build. We found one for a sister.
You have to get the GM's permission before you buy it.
For a night?
Yeah.
I just gave myself permission.
Do you have a model that technically
Hey Ben, did I buy this item? Sure.
sitting?
Yeah, dude. He's remember.
Working exclusive.
Yeah, I found
I
out.
have an extra cockpit that's into the night.
So pretty much it's how they're selling it is pretty much the walls, the cockpit, then the sister.
If you have one that you put in a sitting pose,
It's in the sitting post.
you can. I'll give you the cockpit of the night.
I can just get you one, dude.
I have a spare one.
Yeah, I can just get you the one I get it because that I found this out. The guy on eBay selling one.
The fuck?
What? What are you looking for?
A bike handle, and it went completely.
Is it?
No, I need one with the hand right here.
Could I just drop?
Oh, or it's just sticking to it like an idiot.
Heresy! Okay.
Chadwick Strongpants. Many rumors were floating around. Legends tell that he was from an outer space crystal and fell to Earth in a bout of radioactive material. Others say that he got stung by mutated scorpions and was also bitten by a dragon person, making him a were-dragon, and was trained with a group of Shaolin monks, probably. Stories tell that he was so strong that just by blinking he could blow away an entire town. He was so fast that when the gun fired, he could run around the Earth before the bullet left the muzzle. Chadwick Strongpants doesn't eat, but subsists on nothing but the raw fear of his enemies. When they see Chadwick coming through the dust, the gang starts trembling in their boots. Chadwick Strongpants is going to save us. He thinks he can take us down. Of course he can. Who could stand against him? Even his enemies know that he's without equal. But we have to fight him. What better way to die than against an overwhelming enemy? The gang starts flailing around in the blind and firing in random directions. Due to friendly fire, several of their own members get taken down, the rest break for it and flee as fast as they can. In a brief moment, the gang is defeated and the town is saved. I knew I could never stand up to Chadwick.
We got to.
But I had to, like challenging fate itself, or like finding the sun. I can dream, can't I? I can dream. Who alone can bear the burden of he who wears the strong pants?
Okay, we got down to the last two. I guess we just get when you get doing that bike, we can just do a sprue each.
and nothing weird has happened in your past.
I'm waiting till you're doing that last bike and we're going to finish it off, okay?
That's your greatest strength. You don't have any weaknesses because you're equally terrible at everything. Some of the other players suggested that he should have ranks and nullify, which gives him an aura of mundanity.
Dog looking at me like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm looking at you, you fucking dog.
Then if someone came late to a session and forgot their character sheet, I would always threaten people with it. If you don't get your character made by Saturday, you're going to end up playing as Chapman Strong Pants. He never actually ended up playing the character, which, I don't know why, you wouldn't want to play as Chapman Strong Pants. The greatest hero the world has ever known. A hero for the average man.
Oh, man. So we're going to be a little bit late getting done with this, but we're going to be done in a second. So far, we've been at this for 2 hours and 35 minutes. And I'm running up too because I can't.
Just an upfront warning.
I don't feel like taking seconds.
Last orders of the yawning portal. The epic I ran for a convention. So yeah, this is that. Anyway, on to the video.
Still
A while
gotta
back,
get,
I was running a Dungeons and Dragons epic for a convention. Seeing large sizes of players like 20, 30, 40, 50 people.
Yeah.
The story takes place in Underbound.
You get angry
which is a dungeon
because
so
you want all
massive
the
it's like an entire
God
continent with its own city,
Yeah.
towns, and regions, run by Halaster.
You know who's a beast in 6?
Many
Who?
who venture into its
Homaru?
dark halls never
Yeah.
return.
He goes, I made a mistake.
Come back
You're dead.
fabulously rich or changed in some way.
You know what the dumbest Soul Calibur character I ever made was?
Wow.
The guy from 5, it was the French dude.
Wealth and riches. One
I was
adventurer,
like-
Durnan, traveled across Underbound in his younger days, returning with
So,
spoils.
you know that one character they had that was called Dan B.A. or something like that?
The game
So he was a DLC character you had to download, right? And this guy was probably the worst thing they ever made for a character. Because you think about it, he wasn't offensive or defensive. He was a fucking trickster character.
I didn't play 5 that much.
Yeah, so 5 had a DLC character you might call Dane, it's like something Pierre. Okay? And he was a French dude that fought weird. The problem was that you figured out that he fought in a style that was pretty much supposed to be a gesture thing. It was pretty much like that one martial art where you dance. It was like his own version of that.
What I want to see in 6, you remember back in 3, where you had like, you had the character, you had classes.
Yeah.
I want the classes back.
Yeah.
Because some of those were actually devastating in PvP.
Yeah.
Playing this player.
Everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
But one
Dan,
table is more
the
winner.
dancer that was like, no one can beat.
I said to myself, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Because you the 8 way, or you just go straight in.
You're going after tables who don't roll
You go and sidestep their
material.
your vertical attack.
I think it'd be better if most people just ignore it, which most probably are. You know what? I'm gonna be running my table extra slow. Down the speeds where I was running. Just
Okay,
to be sure.
they kill themselves.
Great night. Even
Those are the
with
best.
stupid prize.
No guilt on the DM.
Man,
Yeah.
I need to be at the table that won. That's for sure.
Are you better at blue?
The adventure was very off the wall.
How many do I have? How much do I have left?
Ridiculous
How the hell do I have that much left?
Challenging some guy to a fight in a fighting ring. Helping someone write a poem.
I got to find it.
After the players had found a certain number of clues, there was a that opened up
You
my
find it?
table. At my table, the mission was, oh no, there's been a terrible problem. The tap has been stopped up. If someone doesn't unclog the pipe, everyone in the tavern will quickly become sober. The players quickly rushed into a room with a cavernous industrial-sized vat of ale, which went down so far you couldn't see the bottom. They were all given potions of ale breathing. Did we unlock a new magic item? Yes. Don't write that on your sheets. For those of you who don't get this, in Adventures League, players used to receive treasure points and unlocks. If they find a magic item, they can earn an unlock and use the treasure points to purchase it. So if the players find a dragon sword, they actually tell the DM what magic items they find in it. Technically, yes, it is an unlock, but when are the players ever going to use a potion of ale breathing other than at this very particular moment in time? Man, I'm going to be so pissed off if this becomes a major plot point later. So, the players plumbed the depths of this tank, which had its own ale mermaids and an alcohol kelp forest. It truly was a magical wonderland, but deep down, they encountered what was causing the problem.
A booze crack.
This Kraken.
The
Yes,
Kraken of
it was
booze.
Kraken, and they knew the only way to start the tap again was to defeat it. Alright, guys, let's get cracking.
Bitch.
Okay, well then. leave the care, kill the player instead. But I'm still here. I meant you're dead to us metaphorically. After that mission, my table did another when a portal opened up. Hey man, we just got a portal open over to the Fae. There's a really happening party going on downstairs. That's where it's at, I'm telling you, man. Yeah, and the players went through the portal into the Fae.
Blow. Okay. Brief hot air on it.
No, surprisingly, my breath actually does cure it faster. I don't know why.
That's all science can explain to you later.
The monk punched the Aladdin once, and he went down crying, sobbing in a pool of his own tears. They also encountered several fairies. We're locked in a mortal dance-off. Whoever could do the best fruity shape would win. Who could best the fairies? Who had the power to get jiggy with it? Stepping forward was the bard, rising to the challenge. Finally, my moment has arrived. I always knew this day would come. I told you, Dad, you're wrong. Now it's time for me to dance to save my friends.
I'm disappointed, son.
Son, you're a disappointment to the family, and you always will be. But those were just what the lower level tables were doing. The tier 4 table had players
Tier 4.
and higher levels.
Been on the wrong day.
No, those are over there.
And who shows up but none other than the elderly, frail wizard,
Yeah.
Black Cloak.
They go on 32 Space Marines.
Bowling match, or else become trapped as slaves in the Undermount. Alistair takes one of his
Fuck it.
shaking hands, picks up a bowling ball.
Did you not hate when they give you like 20 fucking bases, man? I get used to putting you on one, I just quit after that.
He doesn't have to. I've been bowling for over 800 years, challenging the greatest bowlers across the multiverse. I'm your 537 undefeated undermounted bowling champion, known as the human wrecking ball. You know, funny thing, I didn't actually find out what had happened to those players after that. They're fine, probably. Eventually, after all the adventures and missions, the players discovered that there was a dragon who had captured Durnan and was attempting to enter into this reality, and we had to fight him to rescue the bard.
Okay, let's do the bits.
So, you just grab one of these, I grab the other, and we call it an action game.
Okay, good.
So, we get one of each.
Which conveniently is just small enough to get all the players in the dragon's acid breath. They initially get jumped by the shambling mound, which eat the players' reactions and spells. Once they're spent, the dragon then decides to shell up, flying out of the player's reach and firing breath attacks. If the players try to leave the island into the mud, it's considered extra difficult terrain, which I didn't even know was a thing. Which means that it costs triple to move through. So there's 30 feet of move only goes for about 10 feet now. So, but that basically means is they're not going anywhere. By the way, you know what they do? They get attacked by leeches anyway, so you know. It's a tough fight. Eventually, the players won. The day was saved. And the adventure came to its thrilling conclusion. So finally, they come to the closing announcements. We're tallying up the final scores for who collected the most points. Most got about 4. Out of the 15 tables we had, one table, who remained nameless, collected 1 point. We really got stuck, guys. A few of you got 2 or 3. Yay! 1 got 6. But the winner, with the most points, the runaway leader with 9 points. And yes, an amazing 9 points. Please give a warm round of applause to Ben's table. Yes, Ben's table, who scored far away the most points. Hooray for Ben's table. To which my response was, oh my god, I must have made a horrible, horrible mistake somewhere. Maybe I did the math wrong or something. And I started panically going through my notes and adding up numbers. Nope, they were all right. The other players actually helped me keep track of the numbers and keep their own totals so we could actually confirm that it was correct. Afterwards, the other DMs and moderators were talking to me and brought up that they were actually really surprised that our table collected as many victory points as we did. I just laughed it off, and I didn't tell them this, but we completed even more material that didn't get written down. So each table unlocks their own personal mission, and if you have enough time, you can actually complete another table's mission. So not only did we collect 9 victory points and complete our own personal mission, we also did another table's mission as well, which I didn't tell them about. It doesn't matter, D&D is not a contest, unless I'm winning, in which case it totally matters.
That's every motherfucker alive.
I really believed I was wasting a lot of time doing bookkeeping stuff and having to reread material. I even did little things like I brought out poker chips and we played poker. Like, I genuinely thought I was going slow. But also that raised the question, others got deadlocked because many of the players wouldn't help each other with their objectives, but ours kind of really worked together and really wanted to complete a lot of stuff, and so I think maybe it was partly because of that, but it's probably partially also because of me, maybe. I don't know, if it was me, like, is that a good thing? Like, because I got thinking about this afterwards. Did the other tables have some kind of gripping narrative that we missed out on? Like, if I took 10 minutes to do something, and the other table took 30 minutes to do that thing, like, did they have more fun? Like, did they go, like, really in depth with what was going on? Although I'm pretty sure my players cheesed a few of the encounters. Like, one of the enemies is a lich, which you're supposed to get rid of. He's supposed to leave the tavern. And my table just kind of picked him up and threw him down the flat stairs. And that's how they got rid of him. I don't know exactly how the other tables handled that encounter, but I'm just going to go out on a limb here and just assume that it was probably a lot tougher for them. I think it was also interesting because I always kind of suspected that I was a little bit of an air quotes fast GM that didn't like to linger in scenes too long, but this kind of cemented it a bit more for me. I guess it's also because I just don't like when players get stuck for too long. I can kind of tell when about half the table is starting to check out of a scene, and I usually try to move things on to something else around that time. But other times thinking to myself, like, one of the clues you get is asking some guy about a song. Like, that's like 10 minutes of material at most. How do you stretch that out for an hour of material? I mean, like, I like to role play, but I also like to, move the story along. Like, wouldn't you get bored just chatting characters in character for hours? I don't know. So that brings me back to my original question. Was it a good thing that our table went the fastest? And for the life of me, I can't tell you. I have no clue. It might have even been a bad thing. But if it was a bad thing, like, how many victory points would have been the best? Like, is there some kind of Goldilocks pace? 5? 4? I guess you could say it varies from group to group, which that's not really a satisfying answer. But maybe that's the correct one. I don't know. Maybe. Just maybe.
Or maybe this is where it's in Puffin Force. You're over fucking thinking it. I would really tell that to this guy, like, hey, all respects, man. I'm gonna let you know, you're just over fucking thinking it.
Here's some of the funny stories from my Dungeons & Dragons game I was GMing. They couldn't make it into the main Malachar storyline. I guess you could call this a prequel to that video. Enjoy!
Done.
Prior to their confrontation with
Fucking
Malachar,
Christ, dude. Give me 1 second. I'm about done with the last dude.
their elderly portal friend, Oogway.
Fuck you, Oogway. You're gonna come call me Oogway, and I'm gonna call you Turtle Soup if you argue with us again.
His lair was a massive temple that was protected by an internal sandstorm that circled around it, and only by displaying his insignia with the sandstorm heart, allowing people to enter. Once inside, the group split up. 2 wanted to try and talk to the Pharaoh in the upper chambers, while the other 2 were downstairs in the kitchen.
You want me to get a sergeant head for this guy?
Yeah, throw something on him.
Oh, I was gonna put something on him way later.
As they tried to leave, another guard
I'm skull helmets.
Okay, you can do it. I don't care. You've got one laying around. Go ahead and grab it. Oh, you gotta locate it.
Gotta locate it.
Okay.
Again and again and again. It was lunchtime, so the temple guards were entering into the kitchen one by one. We got downstairs with the cleric and sorcerer.
Well, see if you can get it before we get done with this.
Peacefully waiting to talk to the
Let's wait about it.
and discussing what to do. The cleric was like,
Give us a second.
Okay.
let's just talk to them and ask them, hey, can you stop being evil and murdering innocent people and taking slaves? Who knows? Might say yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll probably be fine. But just in case, I'm going to be working on a backup plan in case it doesn't work out quite the way you're imagining it. It involves a firewall.
In the middle of the room.
Downstairs to another stabbing and another murder taking place, as a new guard kept coming in to replace the one that had been killed. The rogue and monk had murdered over a dozen already, and were starting to run out of space for the bodies, so they began having to get creative, hacking the bodies into pieces and stashing their severed heads in grain baskets and legs and arms in the shelves and torsos in the cupboards. And still, people, one by one, were coming into the kitchen.
I'm getting in there.
Meanwhile, upstairs, the cleric and sorcerer get seen in by the Pharaoh, who gives him his big, evil speech, and the cleric decides to take him on in a fight. For all of 1 round before he realizes that they're way outnumbered, and they book it out of the room. In the kitchen, the rogue and monk...
Okay, everyone. So, give us a second. We're gonna set this up for the final shot. And, yeah, give me 1 second real quick. Okay, everyone. So this is pretty much the final result. There's I know this guy doesn't have his head. My friend back there, you can see his stomach. Clearly states that he had something for that. But we finally got all the Space Marines done. I hope you all did enjoy. Let me know. I will put this picture of all on my blog, so please go check that out. But other than that, thanks for watching, and